What time is it? It's time!
Tonight, the revolution begins.
I'm expecting a fight, hoping for a war.
We are the Bullet Club.
I am the greatest living professional wrestler alive. One by one, they will all follow me.
Bada boom, realest guys in a room.
How you know?
Feed me more.
I've wrestled legends all over this world. And I've won world titles all over this world. But there's one that eludes me after all these years, and that is the coveted WWE World title. But that's going to change at Night of Champions when the last chapter of my career is written and I beat Seth Rollins for the world title. I'm going to prove that Seth Rollins is not the man, but he's a little boy, and that little boy's living in my world right now. So little boy, you better buckle up because you're in for a heck of a ride.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
Yeah, this is Wrestling Max episode 159. We are the Every Wrestling Fan podcast, and my goodness, that song has never been more appropriate on this week.
You're telling me, Sean, we have a crazy episode for Wrestling to the Max this week. It is going to be full of crime and all sorts of that great stuff. No, we're not talking about crime time, but though it does feel like that right now in wrestling. We've got a few things that are on the docket, so we're going to have a special segment we're going to do this week called Crime Wave. We'll be giving you all the news on that scary shooting at the Performance Center. That was pretty nerve-wracking to hear that news. Plus, there's some certain former WWE NXT talents that got fired because of Nazi propaganda. Wow, that's almost a crime just alone. Plus, we have some big news with Bram and assault. We love those assaults, don't we, Sean? This is the wrestling podcast. Oh man.
There'll be another one to talk about tomorrow, so I'm not looking forward to it.
No, not at all. So we've got there's a lot of crime things going on right now in wrestling. So we're going to get to all of it. There's a lot more that I'm not telling you. You have to listen to that segment to be able to hear all the different things going on. Plus, we have a lot of big quick hits, including one about TNA and their future, and it looks very grim. You're going to want to know that information as well. Plus, guys, we're going to cover Monday Night Raw all the way through. Some very interesting things happen there that you're going to want to hear us talk about. And, of course, we're covering NXT as well. So two big shows right there, and we'll have a special guest we'll introduce once we get to those segments. Plus, we are also going to talk about ROH and TNA. Those are two big reviews that we're also going to cover for this week. So a full pack show. And, of course, we can't go on further with the show until we talk about the fact that we just did our Wrestling to the Max fantasy football draft, and that was a blast. I don't know about you guys, but I had a great time doing it. And in fact, I drafted Tom Brady in that draft just to do it. And now everybody wants Tom Brady from me for, the reason that he got let go from that suspension. So it's feeling pretty okay for me at that point. But, Sean, did you feel like you did pretty good in the draft this week?
I think I'm going to wind up really killing myself for not going after a running back in one of the first two rounds. But, I guess I've done that before, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I think the rest of my team is sort of okay.
Yeah, I mean, you just kind of have to go with the season, and you're trying to figure things out as it goes. But, Paul, how about yourself, man? How did the draft go for you?
I think it shook out okay. I got the combination I wanted, Luck and Andre Johnson, just because I think that combo is going to be money. But I enjoyed picking Andrew Luck first round and watching everybody freak out because I picked him third.
That is pretty amazing that you got him. And there's been a lot of the guys that listen to the show regularly that are in that league as well. And if you didn't get a chance to be a part, we apologize. We can only fit so many people in, and of course, maybe next year you'll be able to be in that podcast league. But it's a lot of fun. The only thing that kind of bums me out about fantasy football in general is the fact that sometimes I get stuck with this roster and I can't change it. I'm just stuck with Matthew Stafford is my quarterback, and it's hard to get rid of him because I have nobody else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I always play it safe and make sure you draft a suitable backup. Because I know a lot of people sort of overlook a backup quarterback, I think, in fantasies sometimes.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So, there are other ways, to get out there, I guess, and play fantasy sports. I know of one big one, and I know Paul does too.
Absolutely. With the regular season right around the corner, you can start off this football season by winning $2 million in Week 1 over at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site in the world. It's the biggest fantasy football contest ever. There's $10 million on the line, including $2 million for first place, $1 million for second. It's absolutely ridiculous. 1 week fantasy, of course, means no season-long commitment. So, like, if you're Gary and you're stuck with somebody you hate, whatever. It's only a week. You can also play where you want, when you want, with the players you want. It's a great way to get around. You pick them up, you pile up the points, you bet however much cash you want to put on the line. That's how it goes. So, this is DraftKings, of course. Hurry to DraftKings.com right now. You can use the promo code Spreaker. It's where we're broadcasting right now to play for free. Play for a free shot at the $2 million in the Week 1 Millionaire Maker. Enter Spreaker for free entry now at DraftKings.com. Remember, guys, that is DraftKings.com.
And the code word Spreaker. Which,
yes, sir.
I know everybody listens. There are people that really, Spreaker's kind of our go-to. It's our feed now. So pretty much as long as you're, if you're listening through one of the websites or something like that, and you're listening through YouTube, you're even listening in through Spreaker. So even you last word people, give us a shot over there on Spreaker. Go on Spreaker.com, go download the Spreaker app on your phones, search W2M Network or the name of the show, Wrestling the Max, or the Football to Football Show, and give us a listen on there, because any listens help promote this DraftKings deal for Spreaker and for the shows.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and definitely, and DraftKings is a great site, and of course, like Paul just said, if you get stuck in being in your fantasy football world and you just are left with nothing, you can go on there and you can be something and get a chance to win $1 million. I'm going to try it, so I hope you guys do too. And don't forget, like they said, enter Spreaker. Very important. You want to do that to get your free opportunity. All right, guys. Well, of course, DraftKings.com is going to sponsor Quick Hits for us this week, so we're going to jump into some big news, and we'll be right back with it.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick Hits.
I wish that we had a big applause, drop here, Sean, because Paul did an excellent job on that read. Only read it for 3 minutes, and he did so awesome. So, yeah, compared to me, who read it 17 times, and I still stumbled. So,
keep or try hard there, Gary. I don't think that was the best, but
hey, for your first time, way better than I would have ever done. So, let's start out with this TNA news. I know we're not, building the show around it. This is pretty much the biggest TNA thing we have on the docket, but to me it is very important, especially for the fact that we cover this show week in and week out. We take the time to watch it, and a few times we may miss it, but we try our best to get it, and we always review it no matter what. The sad thing is we've been talking about September being the deadline of when they will be around. After September, we're expecting Destination America to keep their word and drop them. We don't want that, but that's what they're going to do, apparently. So what we're going to have to talk about now is the fact that Dixie Carter and, of course, the entire TNA promotion was depending on having the outside the U.S. Places to show their show, internationally, because they have a bunch of international deals. They have in Italy and all sorts of places around the world. but apparently there are some places that are dropping it. I know Italy is one of them, and there's a few more that are going to go ahead and just drop them after this month. And some have already done it. I believe Australia has already cut ties with TNA, if I'm not wrong on that, Sean. But just saying that's scary if I'm Dixie Carter, because you once thought that you were still going to be making money overseas. You're not now, because a lot of them are already dropping you. How do you feel about that, Paul? I mean, this is kind of really the end. If that happens to me, unless they go on YouTube or they find Hulu or somebody support them, where do they go?
Yeah, and this is usually how we hear how TNA does a lot of their business, is these overseas contracts. They usually have a lot of them. And I've always assumed even if they kind of didn't pan out here, they had still something invested overseas. And with that sort of getting taken out from under them, it looks bleak, as you said. It doesn't look good. I don't know where you go from here anymore. Honestly, I think too much damage has been done to TNA at this point. I think they've been a sinking ship since Spike cut them off. And it's just sort of trying to tread water for as long as you can. But, it doesn't look good, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, this kind of sad days for TNA. I mean, they had a nice little bump in the ratings that we'll talk about when we get to their show, but I don't know. I mean, I think they would have to really explode in order for Destination America to even think about it. I think they're pretty much set. If they're already having the international markets pull it, then you can only pretty much assume that that's what's going to happen when we hit the end of this month or wherever exactly in this month that they're going to cut it. So, I mean, we've got, what is it? My calendar's not wanting to go here. We have September 30th, exactly the end of the month. So we have 4 more episodes of Impact left, if this is to be what happens where they pull it after that.
They started advertising for Bound for Glory too, haven't they?
Yeah, so they would be cut off. This would be the go home to Bound for Glory. Mm-hmm. They would get cut off.
Wow. And Bound for Glory is going to be a pay-per-view, so technically you'd still get a chance to see Bound for Glory, but after that you're done.
Right.
Technically. Yeah. That's just, wow.
I just have a feeling they're going to wind up putting it on YouTube for people to watch. Whatever ones they have taped, they still have to... I mean, I don't know if there are international markets that don't necessarily have Destination America, and so... Or Discovery doesn't have affiliates where they might run it. Mm-hmm. So they still have to run it for that TV station. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we hit after Bound for Glory, and whether we're watching Impact, if at all.
Exactly.
October 7th.
Mm-hmm.
It matters a lot to us too, because once again, we review this show week in and week out, and we enjoy Impact sometimes. Sometimes it's not so great, but we like talking about different promotions. That's the part of our mantra here. That's why we're wrestling to the max. We're not just wrestling to WWE, and it's just kind of sad for us to lose. I know it's sad to lose one of our promotions that we enjoy watching at times, and I hope nothing like this actually does take place. I hope they find a home. I hope YouTube or somewhere just find a home, find a way to make more money. My suggestion to them is contact Fox. Fox is going to come out with a brand new show about wrestling, and just say, look, Fox, we'll partner with you. We have the wrestlers. We have a ring. Why don't we just do this thing together? Apparently this show on Fox is supposed to be picking up speed. They're going to be building it, and we don't have a whole lot of details on it. But from what I heard on, I believe it was, I could get it wrong, so I'm not going to tell you what podcast it was, but there was a writer who went on one of the podcasts, he's either Austin or maybe Jericho, maybe even Ross, that talked to this guy, and this guy talked about the fact that he is selling a book series that he has. Oh, it was Jim Ross, because it was Blood Red Turns Money Green. That's the book exactly. And a lot of Hollywood have been looking at it and trying to buy it. So I'm wondering if that's what Fox is going to be having on their TV. But it's supposed to be kind of like a Boardwalk Empire, but it's about the wrestling business. So would you guys be interested in watching something like that, though? I mean, would you actually sit down and put it on your DVR to watch a wrestling program when it comes to maybe being a drama? Anytime
I'm interested in a TV show, I give it 3 episodes usually. because you can't tell everything you need to know by the pilot, but you can usually figure out where most of the stuff is going to go for a while after 3 episodes. I think the formula for Boardwalk Empire obviously proved very popular, but it also had to do with what it was following, obviously. But I think it could work for wrestling. I think if you make it fun enough, you make it sort of dark enough and gritty, just sort of that real feel that everybody seems to be craving for these days, I think it could do fine.
Mm-hmm. And Sean, when I was hearing this guy talk about it, and I don't know if this is what the Fox one is, but he was saying his would be like a mafioso, show some of the real underbelly of the wrestling business. And this show could be completely different than what I'm talking about. But any kind of wrestling show, since we watch a ton of them already, do you think anywhere in the drama category works with the population? I mean, you watch a lot of shows.
Yeah, I think definitely. It depends on what they want to do with it, obviously. If they want to make it a drama about wrestling, if they want to focus it on one family, that kind of like that one show that we watched for one episode and we reviewed on the show, actually. I forgot which one it is. It's when they thought, one of the shows that they thought that they were going to pair with TNA if they went to WGN.
Wrestling with Death?
Yeah, that one. If they do it like that, where it's a family with maybe the dad or somebody else wrestles, and the mom has to deal with what happens when they're not there, and they can go a lot of different ways. Hopefully, they don't go the tragedy way or nothing like that. That's really depressing or whatever. Hopefully, they kind of keep it upbeat. I mean, I love that one episode they did a '70s show where they did the comedy version of it. That was great, but I don't know, you could do a whole 22 episodes on that. So it's about how serious they take it, obviously, and how much wrestling they want to show, if they show it at all, so.
Yeah, you make a good point, Sean. And talking about serious, let's talk about Hulk Hogan being very serious on Good Morning America. I don't know if you guys watched it. I haven't seen it. I listened to audio clips of this. And, he was very serious about apologizing, in fact, taking several breaks to cry. And just talking about the fact that, some of the things he said were awful. He blamed it on his upbringing, which we've all heard that before. Also talked about the fact that if anybody should be mad at him, it should be his daughter, because he treated her badly, and he shouldn't have done that as well, but she loves him in return. So this is a whole interesting thing, and this continues the Hulk Hogan saga. But in your eyes, do you really feel like this apology is sincere? And if you didn't get a chance to see it, do you think it could even maybe help his image and maybe building back up and getting back to the WWE?
As far as sincerity goes, I don't know. If it's as it said in his upbringing, it's really hard to get rid of it because it's what you grew up around. From a lot of people online and from other speculation, a lot of people don't seem to believe it's genuine. I'm more on the fence where it probably is, but I doubt he's ever really going to change. Just because that's how people are.
Mm-hmm. And, from my experience and from what I've heard, and of course listening to some other shows that have kind of broken this thing down more than I ever would have kind of matched up the timelines and said that the timelines that he says happened when this whole controversy actually went down was not matching up with the lie he was telling, in saying that, he was going through a hard time, that his hard time had already happened way before. So it's interesting. It really is. And Sean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm very leery of guys like Hulk Hogan because they seem to think an apology just works and everything should go away.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Hogan is he's told so many lies in the past. He's told how many tall tales about, I was once in Metallica, brother. And, just... I was supposed to be something in some movie. I was supposed to be, God, he made up so many crazy stories. It's ridiculous, and then it's like, this guy knows how to tell lies. He knows how to tell stories. He knows how to, he's an actor. We have to remember that too. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Hogan has seen his fair share of I'm sorry things from people. People probably told him he needed to cry and whatever. I mean, look, he does sort of seem like he's sorry about it, but you know what? Anybody would be sorry when you lose the money you were getting from WWE to basically sit around and do nothing. And kind of show up on house shows and do things here and there. I mean, anybody would be upset at the fact that what he just lost. I mean, so to me, I think it's hard to believe. He's going to have to show this through time and through learning and through everything. Like Paul says, will he actually not do it? But you know what? Doesn't really matter as long as you don't get caught again saying it. So, you know, let's be honest, really. How many people probably say terrible things or have said, you know, they go, I don't ever swear, but, you know, when they're not on camera, when they're not doing something, what are they doing? You know, just saying. I mean, there's a lot of Christian people that go around saying that's what they are, and then you go to their house and they're, you know, cussing like a storm every 10 seconds. I mean, it's just, that's kind of how it is. I mean, you know, whatever. I mean, we all shouldn't say that, you know, glass houses and whatever, but I think, you know, as far as WWE's, I think they're pretty much firm right now as in, hey, we're not doing this right now. You need to, Hogan needs to go away and give it time to just completely disappear. You know, you can say all the I'm sorry's you want and whatever, and go in the community and listen to all the Jeezy you want in your car, and what's gonna matter the most is you let this go away and you give WWE time to go. Okay, you know what? You haven't gotten any more trouble. We haven't heard him anymore in the news. Let's just quietly add him back. We don't have to have him on TV for a while. Whatever, you know. But if Hogan's expecting, hey, I'm going to show up on Raw, you know, on Monday, I'm sorry, brother, it's not happening.
True that. I agree. And, you know, it seems sincere, but like I said, he's lied so much, and he's going to have to earn the trust back, not only with the community, his fans, and, of course, the media, but WB is going to be the hardest critic on him because they've been burned pretty badly. And, you know, they do not want to get burned again, and I think they'll distance themselves away from him as long as possible. And it was also interesting in that interview, you know, he mentioned his real name, Terry Bollea, and just kind of, you know, broke down and just kind of, you know, making sure that he was, you know, separating himself, I guess, to an extent. But I think it's interesting that he did that. And he fancies himself a celebrity. You said it, Sean. He is an actor. I mean, he's done it before. May not be the best actor, but he's an actor. And so, you know, talking about that, you know, let's talk about the fact that, you know, even Stone Cold Steve Austin has been, you know, kind of chatting about celebrities and the world of wrestling. And I guess he's not a big fan of Stephen Amell in the ring because he apparently doesn't like celebrities getting inside the ring in the squared circle. And that is interesting. He kind of says it exposes the business, despite the fact, you know, he may expose the business quite a bit on his own podcast, but that's enough to be said. Do you really feel like that same way, though? Do you think that celebrities in the ring do expose the business?
There is a point to be made, I think, about that, because very clearly you could tell Stephen Amell, in the very short time he was trained, wasn't up to the standard that you're used to seeing in WWE. Granted, if you watched NXT this last week, that standard fell pretty hard with Eva Marie, but you know, the point's still there. We're also talking about a profession that's been doing and utilizing celebrities inside the wrestling ring for a very, very long time. One of the most popular angles in wrestling had to do with Jerry Lawler and what's his name down in Memphis. And that's a terrible example because I can't remember the guy's name. Yeah,
yes,
Andy Kaufman. And clearly that did buku business for Memphis, and it put a lot of spotlight on wrestling and all this other stuff, and that's what it is. I'm sure Austin realizes that, but I'm sure there's that part of him that's like, man, you know, it does show off some problems. I mean, no, I'm not gonna say problems, but it does show, you know, sort of you a little, let you leer in. You know, I mean, he's doing that too, as Gary said on his podcast, and kayfabe's been dead for a long time anyway. So who really cares at this point? Is would be my retort to Austin.
Yeah. Well, it's just interesting because, Austin's worked with some of these people, including Mike Tyson, which Mike Tyson's an athlete. You may separate that into a different category if you want. But at the same point, I mean, to me, that also exposes the business a bit because when you got Floyd Mayweather and you got Mike Tyson, two guys that could legitimately hit you one time and probably kill you, that kind of exposes a few things to me too. But,
I think it's a little bit different with Tyson because he didn't wrestle anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mayweather thing really wasn't a wrestling match either. Big Show was kind of going more towards the level of what Mayweather does, boxing or whatnot. So, I mean, to me, I think those examples are a little bit different than what Amel's doing. To me, what you said, and it's what I said in the Facebook group when Jeremy posted it. It was my consistent thing about Austin needs to look at himself. You are exposing the business every time you talk to one of these guys in an interview and they talk about the olden times and stuff behind the scenes. And then when you talk to one of the newer wrestlers and they talk about stuff that's going on. I mean, shoot, we didn't know anything about the WWE locker room behind the scenes until he had that podcast with Cena and he was telling us all these things. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden now we know how it is. I mean, I just think, there's still plenty we don't know. And I mean, Total Divas also exposes things and whatnot too. But I just think that Austin needs to stop sitting there thinking that he's protecting kayfabe, because if we're going to talk about Jericho protects kayfabe better than anybody, because he doesn't go down into the down and dirty and all that stuff. He just kind of lets you have your little documentary while you're talking to him. I mean, so I think, as Jeremy put it, being more self-aware of himself before he points fingers would be more appropriate for him. I don't personally care. Lawrence Taylor, some people don't like that match. I really think he did a terrific job for what he was asked to do. There have been other celebrities that have done crappily, but, Snooki did fine at WrestleMania, Maria Menounos. So you can expose whatever you want to expose, but let's not play around here. Tough Enough just exposed everything for you. These guys did what in 10 weeks? They just had matches in front of everybody and became, $250,000 much richer. So. Mm-hmm.
Oh no, definitely, and to me, celebrities are a big help. WrestleMania is a big key to point to and look at and say, look at that thing. Look at the celebrities that show up to that. Not only maybe in the ring, on the ramp, but the guys and gals in the audience that are celebrities. That means something. When you see a Super Bowl, guess what you see? Celebrities. And so that's what people are drawn to. That's what gets eyes on the product, and that's fine. I mean, you saw, different people, like even you want to talk about WrestleMania last year with Ronda Rousey being in the audience. I mean, that got people talking on Twitter, on Facebook, and people care. They want to know, oh, wow, really? At WrestleMania she was at that? Oh, that's a big deal. It's pop culture. It had been like I think the Andy Kaufman thing, what Paul brought up, is a great example too. This guy won't be to that level, but I would even say back in 1994, if you would have brought Bob Saget into a professional wrestling ring, that would have made headlines because he's a guy in Full House. He's a big comedian. People would have been like, "Oh my God!"
Jay Leno,
which WCW did. Thank you.
Or Dennis Rodman or Karl Malone or all that, But those
Arquette.
are sports guys, but still.
They gave the belt to Arquette.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wow.
That was. I think
the dark days.
Black eye.
Yeah.
Some dark days.
That was bad, but I want to say, to me, still personally, Paul's example of Andy Kaufman probably was the best celebrity so far that wrestling has ever had. And trust me, that guy protected the business like no other till his dying death. So, we have some other big, things to talk about as well, guys. And, we were, talking about celebrities and all that, and it's cool and all. But let's talk about some, maybe some indie celebrities. And we will talk about a few people that were signed to NXT. Now, last week, I don't know if you guys remember Quick Hits, but we talked about a few of these people. We mentioned Sarita. I know that for sure. One of the people that Sean was actually mentioning to you, the African-American young lady, is Athena. Now, she is actually, possibly gonna? And she for sure, Sean, has she confirmed signing a contract?
Sure signed. She's from where you guys are.
Yep.
Yeah, Garland, that's so amazing. See, I did not know we have people in this area actually getting contracts from WWE. That is great. So that's pretty awesome. But we also have Rich Swann and Biff Busick. I can never say that guy's name. Signed. Those two guys signed too. So we got them, and we also have, which we also talked about in a special, Kana. We have Nikki Storm. And just to reverse, Sarita is going to be a trainer. I know we kind of talked about her maybe being on air. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but she will be a trainer, a part of that performance center. So those are a big, signing list right there. Any thoughts on any of those signings that we have here?
Leave it to WWE to sign two of the most talented women in the world and make them trainers. It just boggles my mind. Nikki Storm, terrific wrestler. She's also Irish. She's done work in Shimmer that I've seen a fair bit of. She's very, very good. She's a great brawler. Kana, I've seen a lot of through her work in Japan. She was big in Smash, which was Tajiri's promotion before that folded into the Wrestle One stuff. Actually, it was Smash and then wrestling. Yeah, there's a whole thing. She's very talented. She's more charismatic, I think, than anything. Her in-ring skills are fine, but she's very good at being. Her in-ring charisma is what's going to draw you in. Rich Swann is another flippy guy, almost too flippy sometimes, but he's very, very talented as well. Biff Busick is a throwback. Very, very technically sound, very technically minded. Lots of holds. And lots of brutal punches, which I just love too. But Biff Busick, probably the best signing out of all that. Oh, and Athena, how can I forget Athena? She's from this area. She came up in ACW out in Austin before she hit Shimmer and all the bigger places up Midwest and Northeast and all those fun places where women can find a lot of work now. She's held many championships too. She's great all the way around. She's another Sasha Banks, I think, in the making.
I will echo everything Paul said. I wonder where Rich Swann's going to be able to fit in because he is smaller. If he's going to kind of get the Neville treatment too, where he's going to go to a certain point, and you have to wonder on that one. I mean, he's a great talent though. Biff Busick, he kind of. Both of those guys were at Bola over the weekend, so they kind of. I guess they had their last swan songs there or whatnot. But I mean, just there's even more coming out of that too that could happen. As far as people that are going to possibly get signed. It's just it's really cool time the WWE's signing all these great indie talent and see if they can make them work. I mean, they've hit on a lot of them. The thing is, taking them from NXT where they're appreciated for who they are, and then transition that to the main roster where they now have to be appreciated by a whole new audience where probably about 85% of them do not know who they are. So it's still something that obviously we're seeing they're having trouble with. So hopefully they can fix that and we can just have this awesome talent, a pipeline of great wrestlers just continuing through.
For sure, and you mentioned it, Sean. You just said it. They still have some more people possibly signing in the future. We've heard Johnny Gargano, Chuck Taylor, Drew Gulak. I mean, those are a few names that could be a part of this as well. Do you think that they should go ahead and get those signed up as well? I mean, they might as well get this wave going full and strong, huh?
What do you think, Paul?
Which guys? I'm sorry, I got distracted by something.
That's okay. Drew Gulak. We have Chuck Taylor, Johnny Gargano. I mean, those are a few guys that they're considering signing too.
Obviously, I know Gargano, we saw him on NXT this week
with Ciampa, and I think some stuff has come out about them being on sort of a date deal. They'll just show up for the sort of like what Blue Pants is on is how I would go about describing the deal. I think Ciampa is a great signing. Gargano is going to be somebody who I think needs work on the microphone personally. When you look at Chuck Taylor is insanely entertaining, but he's announced that he's going to be retiring soon. So if this was something he was looking for, much like an Austin Aries situation where he was thinking about retiring before TNA gave him a call a few years ago, then good on him. But I don't know if that'll change his mind. Drew Gulak, I am a giant Drew Gulak fan. Without jumping down into too much kayfabe here, he works in my favorite promotion, Chikara. He also does a lot of work in Evolve and stuff like that too. He's an amazing talent.
Again, totally agree on. I mean, you know what? At this point, I think Mr. Canyon Seaman and everybody obviously knows what they're doing. Everybody they've been signing, they're awesome talents. We know in NXT they're not going to disappoint. It's what happens if they move on from there, and if they can develop characters and stuff. Because if they can, that'd be great to see them actually be able to move further along and have great careers. In the big time.
Definitely. And one of the ones I'm rooting for hardcore has got to be Ciampa. I've always liked Ciampa, so I know that's
me too. I want to see him. He's the only one we don't know for sure, as far as getting a long term. But man, I hope he does eventually because he's awesome.
Mm-hmm. You know what? It is funny because they've got these contracts with these talents, and they're not all exclusive. That's what's interesting about this. I thought WWE would be a company that would expect it, would fully enforce it. And I'm sure Triple H is very understanding. I think he's working with them, which I love because it does give us this influx of talent. I don't think you get Samoa Joe unless you have that ability to let him do a few things before he makes his decision to fully conform and to join WWE full force. So I like that. But we do have a talent that's getting lots of heat for this exact situation, and that's Blue Pants. Apparently, she's able to train in her own area. She's able to go do all these indie dates, whereas some of the other talent on the NXT roster are not able to do that because of their contract. What do you think about that? Do you think that WWE needs to fix this, or does people just need to leave Blue Pants alone?
I think it's sort of a double. What am I trying to say? I almost think it's them just complaining for lack of things to complain about. Blue Pants is on a deal where she has no hope of getting called up to the main roster until they sign her to an ink deal where she can't work anywhere else. The people that are signed to ink deals have a chance to be on main roster. That is the largest difference, and yeah, it might suck that she's getting TV time, but it's barely any TV time, and she jobs. I'm not seeing the downside to anybody here who's signed to an inked deal to show up eventually on the main roster someday.
I also think it's being blown out of proportion because it's not like Blue Pants is... Right now, to me, Blue Pants is a reaction pop. It's not a... When she has matches, the reactions she gets in her matches are very mild until we get what we got this week where Alexa Bliss put her in so many daggum holds that they eventually just was like, oh, well, better do something. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just... To me, it's not translating in the same way that you would think, oh my gosh, she's going to supersede all of us. Now, if that rumor happens where all of a sudden they sign her and then she jumps the main roster and, winds up being Sister Abigail or something like that, that's when the heat, I think, is a little justified.
Yes.
But until that happens, I think, and I've also, I've heard other podcasts, and apparently there are people that talk to certain, people that are booking her, and they don't think she's that great. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I think people are just jealous of the fact that maybe they're not anywhere near her level. They're still learning. And I think the ones that are left there, the only person that can really complain is Bayley, and I don't think she's doing that. Everybody else is there. It's just they still got leaps and bounds to go as far as in the ring being comparable and being able to do matches and whatever. Because what we saw from Alexa Bliss and Eva Marie and all that on this week's show was not very... it didn't excite me for what's going to happen in the future if it's going to take them a while to improve like this. So,
well, bringing that up, Sean, I mean, you do hope that the influx of the young talent come out and do what they're supposed to do, develop and become strong acts. And whether it be Eva Marie or anybody else on this roster, seeing if they can grow to that level is very important. And, it doesn't leave out the question or the possibility of former talent coming back or even superstar talent maybe joining up ranks with NXT or maybe even just go straight back to the main roster. We've heard that Kelly is not out of question, that she would not snuff at the idea of rejoining WWE. And there has been thoughts and some rumors going around that, Ronda Rousey is getting to be about 32, having the idea of retiring from UFC, which it's not too old to join WWE if she wanted to go and be a part of that. I don't know about you guys, but what would you say if either of those names were to come and help this roster?
I would be okay with Kelly coming back if they decided to do more with her. I think she had something in the ring. I just don't think she had a whole lot ever going for her as a character, other than somebody who's been on this podcast, Jacob San Antonio, said it best. She was the finger point. That was her entire character, was that finger point in the corner.
That's so true.
Needs more than that, guys. And hopefully with what they're doing now, and if they want to give her a second chance, I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest Kelly fan. I love how she put it, that it's WWE looking for her. I'm sorry, Kelly. They're not looking for you. So if you get to the point where nothing's working out and you're with your show wags and other stuff and she feels like she needs to come back, I'm sure they'll probably let her back in because they've always got time to bring in somebody. And probably, Kelly won't have to adjust too much. She was already pretty decent in the ring anyway before she left. So, at one point, she was one of the lead divas they were kind of counting on when they really didn't have anybody.
Yep.
So,
that's true. That's really true. And the next one was, we were talking about Ronda Rousey and all. And do you think that would be a wise idea? Because definitely probably talented enough. We know that she can, fight legitimately and get in the ring and mix things up. But, you also have to learn the entertainment side of it when you join WWE. Do you think that she would even fit in?
I think a lot of Ronda Rousey's sort of value will be how well she progresses in the next 3-4 years in her MMA career. Because if she stays this popular, then totally sign her no matter what. If she starts losing and we sort of start seeing her dip and, suddenly nobody cares about her, then maybe you almost second think it, because then you have to start thinking about more than just her star power that she brings to your roster. You have to start thinking about what she can do in the ring, because Lord knows between now and 32, she could take a massive injury that really hurts her or something like that. So there's a lot you have to think about, I think, with Ronda Rousey.
yeah, I think, Paul kind of hit it. You have to sort of go with what's going on. If she's undefeated and she retires and she wants to go through wrestling at that age, which is usually when they start grabbing people, WWE was stupid not to sign her. Give her whatever she asked for. Even appearances, as much as Brock, are going to bring in a bunch of money. You can put her on a headline and people are going to go. Now, it's like Paul said, if she starts, I think even if she starts losing, it's still a whole thing to wrestle and not be doing MMA because, it's another different kind of spectacle. So I think you can still use her. I mean, let's not forget Brock didn't come out a winner of UFC. So
he's still selling shows, though.
Oh, I agree. But I think Ronda would still sell show. I mean, unless she just gets completely decimated, and maybe WWE has to let her kind of simmer a little bit, and then you sign her, whatever. And maybe she can't ask for that, as much money. But I still think she's a draw regardless.
MMA is also on a backslider right now. Whenever Brock got it was still pretty popular. So there's a couple of different things I think you just got to think about with Ronda. But your point for the most part, Sean, is true.
And also the competition that you have with, Ronda with the women, I think is a little bit different than what you're, are you going to have Ronda kind of be the China throwing everybody around and stuff? Right. Or are you going to have her actually be in athletic competitions with these girls. What are you gonna do? You know.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. And it's a transformation, and it is, up to her to be able to do that transformation and make it work. Just like, WWE's trying to figure out for Los Matadores. There's a possibility that they may repackage them. Now, this is interesting because, I thought they did a pretty okay job. Big fan of El Torito. But, how is this all going to shake out? I don't know. But what would you guys say to that? Do you think it's time or, maybe even a bad idea for them to do this?
Very clearly, there are no plans for the Los Matadores characters. If you feel like you're still going to get some use out of Primo and Epico and you want to give them another chance, then totally change their gimmick. Because clearly they're not going to do anything right now. They haven't done anything since the characters have been invented. So I'd change them. I'd change them in a heartbeat, especially if you have plans or you want to use them.
Yeah, you got to change them. I mean, when El Torito's the most over part of your act, I mean, it's whatever. I mean, El Torito had his moment. That's it. I mean, I don't think he's going to get any more of a bigger moment than he already did with the WLC stuff and whatever, unless you bring another mini luchador, which they've had many opportunities to do and they didn't do it. I don't think they're going to do it now, so just, repack. I don't know really what you can do with these guys. I mean, they're Primo and Epico. I don't know that they've ever really shown that much personality. I don't know. I really don't know what you could, send them back to NXT, see what Triple H can do with them.
Yeah.
If for anything, they are good hands to have in the ring. They're very, very good in ring workers.
Oh, yeah. Sure, you can never have too many of those. I'm just saying, as a moving above where they are right now. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Very true, and you guys make some great points, and I wish the best for them. You guys said it; they're great workers. They just need to get a better gimmick or have something go right in their favor. And my God, I hope El Torito sticks around. I hope this isn't the last you see of him if they do make this change.
Even El Torito,
I wish to sign that guy from Lucha Underground, the little
Mascarita Sagrada.
Yes, that's him. That's him. Yes, I want them to do that tag team. I love a mini tag team.
To go against who?
Everybody. Just everybody.
Primo and Epico.
Yeah, exactly. They're right there, Paul.
I could just watch Big Show just decimate them in like 2 seconds. That's just what's going to happen.
It possibly would. We have some congratulations in order, though, guys. We have a couple of engagements that we've got to mention on this show. Congratulations to Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne on their marriage coming up. And, of course...
completely came out of nowhere, because didn't she just have a baby?
I know. It's amazing that Bram gave her a baby and Josh Matthews has got her a ring, so... I kid. Just joking. I don't know. Is it Matthew's baby? Whose baby is it?
I don't think it's his. She was pregnant before he was even there, wasn't she?
I don't know. I mean, this is interesting.
Some guy, Jesse Cabot.
Oh, okay. Some random guy, right? No,
some dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just random guy. Okay. But anyway, congratulations to them. Plus, Johnny Ace is engaged, but you would not believe to who? The Bella mom. Yeah, that's right. The Bellas are going to be...
Power lives.
through Bella.
That's Bella.
He has to be on TV again now.
What a destructive marriage. Okay.
Hey, why is that
on that reality show? That marriage right there.
Yeah, I am terrified because you got the Bellas involved and you got Mom Bella raised them.
It's just really weird that you have a picture of Cena and Nikki Bella and then across is Johnny Ace and Mom Bella. And then you have a wine glass that says future Mrs. Laurinaitis. That's really weird.
Mm-hmm. It is. I'm just picturing it though in my mind. They're showing the next Total Divas, and he's sitting there in the armchair. Oh man, when I was in the ring in Japan, and they just get bored and walk off. So we don't have to listen to you anymore.
That was so dynamic, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, congratulations to both those couples. That is great news for them. One last thing on the docket before we get out of here and talk some Monday Night Raw, guys. We need to talk about Philadelphia. What about Philadelphia? Well, there's been talks and rumors going around that WrestleMania 34 could appear in that fair city, the fair city of brotherly love. I'm curious what you guys have to say about this. I think it's not a bad idea. I would love to see it at the link. What do you guys think?
I think that's a good idea too. I mean, Philly, you want to talk about loud and ruckus crowds. If they can't make enough noise across the football stadium, I don't know what city in the world could.
Right? That's going to... I worry for the Hall of Fame, though. People complain about how people saying things you shouldn't say. Philadelphia is going to be that town that does it more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be interesting all the way around, with 33, I guess, now being locked into Minnesota. Going to the Midwest. Going to be two interesting cities, the next two WrestleManias, for sure.
Like night and day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting, but I think it is perfect too. I think you guys are right, and it'll be a great crowd already. We know that for a fact, and it'll be just a blast, just to see what happens there. So, that isn't confirmed. Just giving you guys an idea of what WrestleMania locations are coming up your way. So. All right, guys. Well, we have a whole other great part of this show coming up. We are going to be talking some Monday Night Raw and, of course, NXT following that. We are actually going to have a special guest. Sean will be introducing them as we go. And, of course, don't forget, we have a Crime Wave segment we got to talk about. There is one of the biggest legends that you probably remember from a certain coconut shot, and not the one that passed away, but the one that is still living, who is going to probably prison. You'll find out that in the Crime Wave segment. But now it's time for some Monday Night Raw.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
All right. He's being a little late, I guess, to show up here. So, I don't know if he's not paying it. Yeah, so I think he'll be here a little shortly. But Raw did take place in Tampa, Florida, 4 hours away from me. Oh, he's calling. Here we go. Of course, Skype has to do that thing where you're on, but it's telling me they're not. So,
don't you love Skype? Still not perfect.
Yeah, I love it, especially when I don't want to hear that noise anymore. And I'm pressing the button, and it keeps doing it. So
you gotta love it. So yeah, that's what's always fun. When we have guests on and we try to get them linked up to the show, we don't make people sit around for hours and just wait for us to finish talking. We try to let them do what they're doing and then get on the show. But sometimes we have these issues,
Oh crap! I might have to lose all of you here.
Okay.
It's giving me the not responding treatment.
Well, Sean, you know how to get a hold of all of us if you want to run through.
Okay. Yeah, I might have to get off this here.
Okay.
Which really sucks because we're here on a live show, but that's what happens. Oh, here we go. Well, I don't know if I just lost everyone or what. Whoa.
Hello?
Anybody else on here?
Yeah, I'm here with you, buddy.
Okay, I lost Gary then. Alright, so joining us here, sorry to kind of have to just do this really weird, but Skype was being crazy. From the Wrestling with Valiants podcast, Mr. Renzo Trollmaster Garcia. How are you doing?
What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Alright, well, as I was alluding to before Skype decided they wanted to be dumb, Raw was from Tampa, Florida, where we began with Sting in the ring. I wonder if Vince shudders at the fact that the show began with Sting. I'm sure. I don't know who thought of that, but I'm sure it might not have been him. Who knows? Sting pretty much talks. He talks way too much about Triple H. Talking about that match at WrestleMania, which he hypes up way too much, and then gets on to Rollins, and talking about how he pretty much is nowhere near the man that any of the legends that they've been mentioning for the past week or Triple H is. And that, everybody better buckle up because they're going to be for a heck of a ride at Night of Champions when Sting tries to go for the one title that has eluded him forever. Rollins also isn't happy about Sting's promo, and Stephanie basically says, hey, you can't be a legend overnight or whatever. You just need to stop comparing yourself to Triple H. And now he wants to know where his statue is, and Stephanie tells him to go ask Sting about said statue. Later on, I think it's at the end, we have Seth Rollins basically calling out Sting, and then we have John Cena come out. He hadn't seen him all night. He shows up and basically says he wants to cash in his U.S. title rematch at Night of Champions, giving us the Seth Rollins double defense, a la Mr. Jay Lethal, that we're going to see in a couple weeks here.
I was about to point that out.
On the same weekend, by the way, we're going to see both of those. Oh, no, actually, isn't it on TV? Is it on TV or on the pay-per-view?
For Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
Ring of Honor is on their pay-per-view All-Star Extravaganza.
Okay, so on the same weekend, like I was saying, we're going to see two titles defended from two different men and two different companies on the same show. So that's quite interesting. At the end, we have John Cena and Sting stand tall, while Stephanie tells Seth Rollins not to shut up about Triple H and stop comparing himself to him. So here, all I got out of this was that we really need to see a Triple H and Seth Rollins match, and we're going to see a John Cena and Seth Rollins match again. Who gives a crap about Sting is what I got out of it. What did you get out of it, Renzo?
I don't know. I'm sorry, what?
What did you get out of the whole angle going through the show with Rollins and Sting and Triple H? I pretty much got that we should see a Triple H and Rollins match and not necessarily a Sting and Rollins match.
You're exactly right. That's what I was thinking too. And apparently, Sting has not forgotten about Triple H. And I guess he loves him for some reason.
Yeah, I wasn't digging the love fest too much.
He admires Triple H.
Sounds more like somebody told him to admire Triple H. But Paul?
Apparently that handshake at the end of WrestleMania this year meant more than we could ever know. Other than that, I'm really behind the sort of Seth Rollins setup here. I think it's interesting. It lends credence to the idea that WWE is watching Ring of Honor. I know we talked about that a while ago on the show. But it is interesting. It's done in a bit of a different way because it's not so much about Jay Lethal trying to prove he's the best champion. It's about Seth Rollins just trying to prove that he can hang around with these guys, which apparently we still don't know if he can yet. He's had the belt since Mania, and we still don't know if he's one of these top guys yet. That's a thing.
Yeah, you're right. It is, and the interesting thing is, what Paul alluded to a while ago with the whole Triple H thing, and that handshake meaning a lot. It makes me wonder when they shook hands if they, heard that song, "When Birds Suddenly Appear." That's what I felt. Like maybe they just have that connection. And I don't believe it's true. They're just trying to hype something that's going to happen in the future. Whatever, that's fine. But,
but shouldn't you hype it when you're going to have the actual match and not hype it like months before when you're trying to have another title match in the same time?
You're talking about Triple H here, who is part of it. He's got to be a part of it all the way through. I mean, he's got to have that for his DVD set. It's got to be 2 hours long, not 30 minutes. So, I don't know. Yeah, there you go. Look at all the admiration I'm getting. But, I just think that this whole thing could have been done in a lot shorter period of time. It was drawn out. I was getting bored at times. I know I used Sting in the intro, everyone, but it was because it's Sting and he's not around a whole lot. Besides that, I could have probably done without about 75% of it.
Well, we definitely at least had a long match to sort of start the wrestling for the show. Dolph Ziggler and Rusev continue their little thing here with another match, SummerSlam rematch. This went about almost 15 minutes. There was a DQ that happened, of course, because that's kind of the thing with this feud.
Of course, that's the finish of all things.
Right. Well, what did you think of the match, Renzo, and this whole feud? It starts here, but we continue on through this evening with, I guess you could call it a night that Dolph Ziggler doesn't want to remember. I guess.
I lost count of this feud ever since it started.
Yeah, but I mean,
they're gonna have.
At least these two guys are having good matches, right?
Oh yeah.
What did you think of the Summer Rae and Lana and Ziggler, all the storyline stuff going through the show with seeing Ziggler's junk?
Ooh.
It reminded me of Chris Jericho 2002. Back in 2002, 2003. And yeah. And like I already said, it's gonna be a mixed tag team match at Night of Champions. And I think Dolph and Lana are gonna go over, and it's gonna be, and it's already they're gonna begin to split Dolph and Lana. If you didn't catch these little like detailed, like really detailed stuff, like Lana seeing Summer coming out of the locker room or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, I mean, what about the description by Summer Rae? I mean, I thought, we were hearing the summary of like some kind of pornography video.
I was like, that's not PG. The hell is this?
It's like a poem about Dolph's junk.
I thought I was watching a PG show.
At least it wasn't a poem by Heidenreich.
Oh.
That would have been creepy and pornographic at the same time.
Very creepy. And I'm a big fan of Dolph Ziggler, and this did get a little awkward. I mean, I know I saved it as my ringtone, but I mean, it is still awkward. I mean, so,
You would.
It's just the way it is.
Are you here to show the world?
Yeah, I'm here to show the world Dolph's junk. So.
The 2 minutes.
Yeah, the glistening. We can't forget the glistening.
God. I just can't believe we got a promo in this day and age for 3 minutes about Summer Rae talking about somebody's ding ding. That's that's TV magic is what that is.
Whoever the writer was for that wasn't writing anything PG, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Plus, the whole thing's silly, too, because you very clearly see Summer Rae go in after Dolph in the camera. Can't, Lana just go watch the show over and go, oh, hey, he's right.
Yeah, this is like all those other stories, though, where they try to make it seem like didn't the whole thing with Eva and Zack Ryder happen that way? Didn't, so many others that they've done over the years where the audience knows, but the performers don't know.
Lana should have went.
Most of the time, it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Lana should have went, hey, crowd, did Dolph Ziggler do anything to cheat on me with Summer Rae? No! Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
And I mean, also, really, if all Summer Rae did was just see his junk and Lana freaks out, I mean, imagine all the people that actually have witnessed the act happening in front of them, and they have more reasons to freak out than Lana just hearing about somebody seeing. I thought that was a little bit dumb to me. I don't know.
That would totally be a Vince McMahon idea.
That'll be the next thing. They'll just have live sex, but in the backstage area.
We're gonna have live sex.
Oh man, Edge missed the guy.
For that exact reason, right, Gary?
Exactly.
With a great year.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But either way, moving along with these females have a storyline, but we had other divas on this show, and they competed in beat the clock matches.
First time ever.
Right, first time ever that totaled an amount of like less than 10 minutes. So, what they've been getting for one match, they got in the string of 3 matches. So, Becky Lynch wins the first one over Alicia Fox. It was the best match. She got about 3 minutes. And then you had Charlotte beat that time in 1:40 in a pretty bad match where Brie just, I don't know what she was trying to do, but it was just bad. And then at least they told the story of Paige just couldn't beat Sasha, even though she did try. But her teammates pulled her to the floor before she could get the 3 count. And Charlotte wins and is moving on to face Nikki Bella, not at Night of Champions, because at SmackDown they make the case for Charlotte petitions to have the match before the record is broken. So it looks like that contact clock is actually going to mean something. But what do you think about all this beat the clock stuff? Did it really help the divas, or is it more not?
I can lean towards more. It didn't help, but it was cool that they actually had a new idea for the divas. A first time beat the clock challenge. I was like, what? This is for the superstars. What are the divas doing here? And I don't understand why Paige was trying to submit Sasha Banks when she had like 2 seconds left.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me either.
I was like, what are you doing? Count.
Yeah, at least try to go for the pin or something.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, Paul?
It was an interesting idea. Some of the executions in the matches, I think, could have gone off better. I think Becky Lynch did a fine job with Alicia Fox. Brie, on the other hand, can we get at least something more than that? It doesn't have to be much, but just better. Like, be better, guys. The Paige thing, I'll give you the submission, but I thought that was an actually pretty well-worked minute there, where they were trying to sort of just make sure Paige got screwed, and then you get a little tension there between PCB at the end.
I liked it, but it was just that submission spot. No,
I'm with you. Yeah. Perfectly legitimate gripe. I think it did. It was a little silly at times, but I think it added a little to everything, because now you got tension between everybody, even in between teams, which is nice.
But couldn't they have also done this where you give them a longer time frame to go from? Where Becky maybe does it in 7 minutes or something like that? 8 minutes?
That's never how WWE's done these, though. It's always been like as fast as you can go through them, and sort of trying to get as much drama as you can inject into 10 minutes of television.
You're not speaking WWE logic.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's the way they go about doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the goal here was not really focused on the matches, which I think all of us would have liked better, longer matches. But, the goal here was to basically get an opponent for Nikki, which Charlotte makes sense, have the young talent come in and do the job. We've seen Paige versus Nikki before, so there you go. You got Charlotte. And, of course, you want the tension with PCB. That's the goal here. They're trying to do that, and then they're accomplishing it. So on that point, there's the positives. On the other part, which Sean mentioned, the negatives, it's just short, and it's not much to it. Decent matches, but nothing special.
Yeah, and we thought at first they were going to make them wait until after the record for Night of Champions. Now it looks like it might happen on one of the Raws before. Do you think it's going to just be a big tease and Nikki gets the record, or do we see Charlotte
When is that?
win?
Is that the 14th?
It would be either the 7th or the 14th.
Oh, okay.
One of the two. shows. I would imagine they would take this week to hype it up, and then you do it on the next Raw, the one right before. I mean, because I think she doesn't actually break it until like midnight or something like that, according to the clock.
Oh, midnight, okay.
So, yeah, they would actually have to go through the entire Raw. So, do you think that Charlotte breaks it right before she breaks the record, or do you think Nikki retains and then she loses at Night of Champions or something?
I'll one of you guys go first. I have to think about this.
I think it's more interesting for the angle if you have Charlotte break it. And it's not because I'm a diehard AJ Lee fan or anything like that, but I think it creates much more tension across the entire Revolution with all the teams you have at stake. If you have Charlotte go over and win the belt before Nikki breaks the record. Because now you have Nikki pissed off because she lost the record. You have PCB getting jealous already from that, and now Charlotte goes and wins it. And then you still have Team Bad feeling like they're getting shortchanged.
Yeah, says the guy that has a picture of AJ Lee on almost every social media that he has.
Whatever. I mean, I live in her phone, dude. I'm proud.
I know. I kid. No, I mean, no. You make some great points, Paul. And I look at this as a hopeful opportunity that they'll take advantage of. Will they? I'm not so sold on that. We all know the McMahons are very vindictive. How they want the history to be written the way they want it written, and they're not thrilled with AJ Lee right now, so it makes me wonder if they're going to be that vindictive and go against what's best for business and do what's best for them and get rid of AJ's name as the top longest Divas champion. So, I don't know. I have my mixed emotions.
That for years, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, but
I guess who's the longest reigning WWE champion in the modern era? CM Punk, and they hate that.
Oh, and that'll change. Trust me, they'll find a way to change it. It'll unless they make up, and I don't think they will. We'll have to see. But I think that they're going to figure out something here, though. I would love your scenario, Paul, to work out very well. Why? Because for weeks and weeks, I've been praying and preaching on this show. The groups thing is fine with the Divas division, but it's not what I want to see. I want to see them in singles competitions. That's why we like them in NXT. That's the way that we're going to be successful. So I think if we're going in that direction, I'm sold.
I think I've been saying on this show that it would be much more interesting if she broke it before the record.
I was going
to times.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it makes more sense.
I'd rather have Sasha Banks break it, but Charlotte's is just as good, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Well, for one though, I mean, Sasha's the one getting chance, so certainly she has less of the growing to do than Charlotte. I think Charlotte benefits from it more, as far as it's something that she can put a feather in her cap. I just wish we would tone down the Flair-isms a bit.
Oh, her woo.
No, I'm fine with the woo. I would just, I don't want her mentioning her dad all the time. I just,
I see. Have her be her own.
Enough.
Have her be her own.
Yeah, I mean, she has so many homages to her dad in her matches, and with the woo already, and people woo when she comes out, and her music, and just, you don't need to, I mean, her telling us that the Four Horsemen were part of the WWE at one point was already wrong last week, so.
I laughed. I saw that when I heard that. I was like, they were?
Yeah.
I was like, they were? When?
I think wrestling is such a taboo word that you're supposed to say wrestling history, but sports entertainment history sounds so stupid. It was like, what do you do at that moment? So
Was Vader in it was like Vader was world champion? No, he was WWE champion.
Yeah.
If only.
Yeah, if only.
But that's Shawn Michaels, though. That old boy, Shawn Michaels.
Hey, he carried that company for a while. So.
Boo!
We can all hate on Shawn Michaels all we want to, but he has his place, certainly. Anyway, I mean, I think, I heard our friends on the reaction just rail on this. Me and Jimmy Christopher got into it really bad.
Oh no!
How the beat the clock thing was terrible for the Divas and all that stuff. And I get it from a match perspective. From that perspective, it was bad. But from everything else, from a storyline, movement, and all that kind of stuff, I think that helps the Divas and shows that you can have things that you've only seen men do before with the beat the clocks, and you had the women do it. Maybe not all of it was graceful, but, that kind of happens.
Yeah, and
by the way,
this angle needs much more storyline help than anything wrestling can do for it right now, I think.
Right.
By the way, Brie Bella was trying to, have the clock wind down so that, I guess, Charlotte can't win or something.
Yeah, she was trying to run away and stuff, but it was just so...
It looked awful.
Yeah, it was so bad.
It looked awful.
Brie Bella's awful, so...
I don't know how she has regressed so badly.
Her sister is, way better than her.
Well, it's just like going into that SummerSlam match with Stephanie, she was actually pretty decent. Then all of a sudden it's just like, okay, she got down the Daniel Bryan tour of let's do his comeback, but then everything else is just bad.
Sure.
And then one thing I'll give credit for, people keep saying things about Big Show. I thought him and Ryback had a pretty decent match there for the IC title. Miz caused a distraction, which allowed Ryback to win. They had some nice near falls and whatnot. And that Big Show got in there also. He had to yell at the crowd. They told him to please retire again. I wonder if they will ever find someone to retire Big Show.
Oh, I know who they will find to retire. I just called Brock Lesnar to show up at Madison Square Garden on October the 3rd.
If we're calling good friends, I got EC3 on the line, guys.
That would be a moment for EC3 right there.
And Lesnar said, I'll be happy to retire Big Show. Just pay me.
Yeah.
We already pay you enough to just move.
Yeah.
So, speaking of good matches, Cesaro and Kevin Owens had another really great match here. That went pretty long as well. I could watch these two for days. I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of Owens and Cesaro happening.
Too bad that's it for them. Now, Kevin Owens is moving on to the Intercontinental Championship now.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he wins it this time. Maybe.
Or gets buried.
I just hope WWE can do right by both those guys. This match on Raw, though, was fantastic. It was much better than their SummerSlam effort. They had a better flow to it, personally, in my opinion. Told better story. Plus, it was much more hard-hitting, too, so...
Yeah, I agree. It's cool that he's going for something else now. It's just Cesaro needs to have something that means anything for him. They cannot just waste all this momentum. The Shield. Oh, okay. You're saying have him join the.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Cesaro joining the Reigns and Ambrose team?
I'd be for it, but I think that third spot is reserved for a Mr. Eric Rowan at this point.
No. Shh.
Oh, don't say that. I do not want to see that.
I don't think anybody does, but WWE's going to do it.
I know. Okay. I respect the guy. He is a sweet guy. He does a great job. He has a nice wife and family and kids and all that stuff.
You sound like that guy that's just telling the girl, "You have such a nice personality."
Exactly. But listen, Vince. He's got a nice personality, but fire him now before you put him in this angle. I would rather him be jobless than put him in this angle. I respect
the stairs match, Gary.
It's like basically telling Eric Rowan, "Hey, you're a nice guy and all, but I don't think it's working out."
Mm-hmm. I do not want to see him first because it doesn't have any continuity to it. How does it make sense? He just helped Harper before he got injured. By the way,
he was formerly in the family, and they just exclude him. Why? He's going to want to know why.
There's a reason. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Now, I guess you could make that point, and I guess it could work. I'm not interested in seeing the trash bag costume come back.
How about we get Mark Henry?
Strongman versus strongman.
I'm all about that Hall of Pain.
You know,
so.
they're gonna do that.
That's what I
Play
do.
that out.
I said that on the group the other day.
That's true, Brandon.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Brandon Visco being to the show. Hey.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? Raw was, I couldn't watch it Monday night because I was moving, but I watched it tonight, so it was interesting. Let me ask you guys something, because I noticed it, and I've been wondering this for a while, and I was hoping that they would do it with Bray Wyatt. But does Braun, what's his name?
Braun Strowman.
Yeah, Braun Strowman. Okay. Does his face and voice kind of remind you a little bit of The Undertaker?
I thought it was Triple H.
Yeah.
Triple H on stilts wearing a beard.
Yeah. And he looks like the pudgy guy that's at the wall in Game of Thrones. So.
Oh, I saw that meme too.
But but I could see maybe him I wish they would have done it with Wyatt, but I think that passed. But I would love to see someone take over, basically, maybe not entirely take over The Undertaker's gimmick, but at least have a new, basically, dead man, you know?
Finn Balor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go this far. I think watching him in this match, watching him move around the ring, he reminded me a lot of a very young Kane. He's quicker than you expect on his feet. I think he does what he does well right now at this point. And I think that's something to look forward to in the future. Because it took Kane a while to find his feet, but when he found it, it was pretty gosh darn good.
Yeah.
I agree. And you know what? Yeah. you talk about the dead man. I mean, you got the next dead man. You got Bray Wyatt, and not that he's ever going to reach the levels that Undertaker did, because that's going to be hard for anyone in a history of mankind to ever reach that. I doubt that'll ever happen. I mean,
I just hope they finally. I mean, yes, in terms of gimmick, he's the next dead man, but the fact that they've had him lose every single feud he's been in has diminished his character so much that
you know what's even sadder?
What?
That Bray Wyatt's my favorite wrestler.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites too. I wish he would get a bigger push and actually win some matches to build up his threat level, because we talked about it on this show in the past that, especially with this rivalry with Roman Reigns, it was like no one really cared or no one really paid attention to it because Reigns was pushed so much and was winning so much. And be a squash for Roman Reigns, basically, or at least that's what we thought.
You cut out a little bit there.
Yeah, I cut out too for a second. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I was just saying that, this whole feud between Wyatt and Reigns, a lot of people didn't really take it seriously because they knew that it was just going to be basically a squash for Reigns and Wyatt. I mean, they didn't even let them win the first round of this, and yet the feud's still going on, which I don't understand why that is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I understand that too.
I'm happy with what they're doing with them right now, though.
Oh, I'm happy that they're doing it, but it just doesn't really... what's the point of continuing the feud?
Mm-hmm. No, it almost right now, the way they're making it seem with those two guys, which we know Roman Reigns is supposed to be, a destructive force to an extent for his size, his weight. But on the other side of that coin, with, him getting destroyed now week in and week out by this guy, do we need an army? That's the question. That's what's exciting about the guy too, though, is it's almost like you need an army to beat this guy. you know. So he's exciting, and this whole thing is exciting because of him in general. Now I'm almost excited about seeing the Wyatt family to see him, even though I'm a Bray Wyatt fan.
Yeah.
And you know what else? He's gonna have one more member, apparently. The Sister Abigail.
Oh, sure.
I really don't want to see Sister Abigail in the flesh.
Mm-mm.
It ruins his character to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's already talked about her twice now.
He talks about her all the time, but the problem is if you have her be there, you know WWE's going to make it some kind of weird angle and then they're going to ruin it. It's just, it's better if it's in his mind or it's his inspiration or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
On one hand, I agree with you, Sean, that it is kind of, it is better not seeing and not knowing. But at the same time, I feel like it would be cool to basically bring in. I mean, I know she didn't do anything when she was in WWE, and it would probably be the same thing with Sister Abigail type character, which would destroy the whole thing. But I would love to see them get someone to be Sister Abigail and basically be like a karma type, where it just lights go out and she just pops up in Divas matches and just wrecks everyone.
Well,
I don't know where he's
they
at.
technically have that showing up in NXT pretty soon, or the closest they can get to that. I don't know that she works with Sister Abigail. Here's the thing, though. You have to it all depends on, are they going to make it? Is it his sister? Is it his mother? Is it just his girlfriend? Who is it? Is it his master, like with Pentagon Jr.? I mean, so, it all depends on, depending on if you're going to make it familial, then you have to have somebody that sort of looks like them. If you're not, then to me, if you're going to let, if you let Kana wear the face paint or whatever and be weird, she could work.
I think Sister Abigail is like Bray Wyatt was on the streets, and Sister Abigail came in, picked him up and said, "I'm gonna take care of you now."
So he went to a mission where there was an actual Sister Abigail.
Yep.
Father Darling is standing there. Oh, help me help you, son. Yeah. No, I just hope the whole thing, the Sister Abigail thing, is just stays where it is in his mind. Seeing it in the flesh, to me, ruins it all. I love the mystery.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul?
I'm with you guys. I think we talked about this some last week too. Making her a visualization, making her a person, just takes away entirely from what makes the whole idea of Sister Abigail cool. She loses that creepy factor because now you have to find somebody that fits what Bray Wyatt's been describing the whole time, and that's not an easy task for anybody.
I think that's hard.
Yeah. WWE's going to kill it if they bring in a real person to do it. So leave it alone, WWE.
Definitely.
No.
The last thing I think we haven't talked about is the fact that pretty much right off the bat, now this is an old wrestling trope, obviously, but you have the Dudleys beat your tag team champions to earn the tag team title shot. The best part was the New Day cutting a promo beforehand about how you need to save the tables.
I hope that they continue this, and I want to see I want to see the Dudleys do a match against some other tag team, have them go up against the Lucha Dragons or Los Matadores or something, and have New Day on commentary talking about having to save the tables, and then after the Dudleys win, they go underneath and take all the tables away and rescue all the tables and take them with them into the back.
I mean, the best part about all of this was that the table that they pull out was wrapped in bubble wrap. That was magic.
Yes.
We must protect the table.
Yes.
at all costs.
Bubble wrap will stop us from going through the table, guys. Don't worry.
All it's gonna do is soften the blow for you.
And make some cool popping sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
That would actually be interesting to see how it would, like, if it would, like, make all the popping sounds if you put someone through it.
I loved it that on SmackDown tonight, they come out and they say Walter Cronkite was sitting near a table when we landed on the moon.
They just, man, they're awesome.
I was like, I had no idea tables were so important.
And then, not to mention, watching Big E go on a date on Total Divas. That was, you got to see like a tender side of Big E, like Natalia's sister or something.
Oh.
It was like really cool. You don't get to see Big E like that. He gets to be he gets to be the funny self that you see. Like he pops out some flowers and he goes, "I grew these in my garden,"
Did he tell her the field of power?
No, I was hoping we'd get that. But
I want to know if the topic of tricep meat came up.
No, but Natalya kept making allusions to his having a large whatever because he's black or something. So.
Leave it to Natalya.
Ding ding reference number 2 on WWE television this week.
And the W2M show.
And the show, yes. But yeah, so are you guys cool with the whole the Dudley Boys already beat the champions this quick?
Nope.
That suffices an answer.
Yeah. Just nope.
Nope.
Explain why.
I don't have an explanation, just nope.
Okay, fair enough.
That's good, fair enough.
So I'm not really going to say why, because they might throw me through a table. So.
Scared of Bubba Ray, I get it.
We are.
He was a bully in a past life, Gary.
Yeah,
true.
He's just got to be a star. That's all I'm saying.
Please don't kill me, Bubba.
Yeah.
You are an awesome person.
Just don't say wrestling is fake around him. He'll go.
Or don't tell him he's a bad athlete. Don't tell him that either.
The Dudley Boys going over is, I think, what everybody would expect. I would have rather have taken the New Day Cowardly Heel act where they pull out and just bail. But that's not what people want to see. And you got to get all these people interested in the Dudleys who have not seen them before. I'm assuming that's what WWE was thinking. But I too, wasn't a giant fan of this, but I understand it.
But you don't know who they are.
Oh, I know who they are. There are a lot of people out there who might not know who they are.
With those camo-looking clothes on. Are they Marines?
Maybe.
What are they?
Oh, man. You gotta love it.
The guys still spouting 90s catchphrases. That's who they are.
Yeah. So tell us what's up, Constant.
They only need one member left. Let's bring in Spike Dudley.
Yes.
Agreed. I'm good with leaving Spike on the...
Yeah, I'd rather see Keebler. Let's get Keebler back.
Or Velvet
Spike's
Sky.
retired anyways.
Yeah, they could bring in Velvet to be basically Stacy Keebler 2.0.
Mm-hmm. True.
But they won't. Because they're WWE.
Yep.
Probably, they did show up in about 2 seconds on a WWE show at a live event. So, when they were in Orlando on accident. Because I guess somebody is a big TNA fan there and got mad. I don't know how that works, but okay. So the only thing we got left to do is we got to give a rating for this show out of 10. What do you think, Renzo?
I give it a solid 7.
Any reason why, or?
I like I wanna say why, but I can't really think of a reason.
That's fair.
I apologize.
Brandon?
I'll give this one overall I'll go 7.5. I mean, there were some very good moments. There were some fun moments, but nothing spectacular. But it was an above-average Raw. The one thing I'm assuming, since you guys are done with everything you talked about already, and I mean, I kind of get it, but like it kind of makes them look a little too powerful. And then if they lose, then what? Is if they don't have Charlotte go over against Nikki, or against, is it Brie or Nikki who has his belt right now?
It's Nikki.
Nikki, that's what I thought. If they don't have her go over, then like what was the point of her basically squashing? I think it was her sister, right?
Yeah, Brie.
Yeah, like what was the point of her squashing Brie then? Like it doesn't. So I mean, we'll see where that goes. But what?
Did you notice that they didn't do one commentating on Charlotte during her whole match?
No, I didn't notice that.
We're like not even saying anything, and then when she won, they go, "Oh, wait, oh, she won? Oh, shoot!" It's like
good announcers there. Just those wonderful Raw announcers that point out nothing.
Yeah. Someone pointed me that out on when I was on the show yesterday.
And then the one other thing that I noticed that was really weird, and like now the whole feud is getting basically turned on its head. And did any of you guys watch SmackDown tonight?
No.
No.
I've read this. What happened?
Oh, what happened with the whole Ms. TV with Lana thing?
Oh, I saw that clip.
What
on YouTube?
Happened with that?
Something about like apparently she had like the bruised eye or something, and talked about like the whole thing that happened on Monday, and then comes out Dolph Ziggler and Lana.
Is that what happened, Brandon?
I don't know. I didn't see what happened on SmackDown, but I was wondering because like the whole swerve that they did with this whole feud just doesn't make sense to me. So I wasn't sure if they clarified it and like made something more out of it on SmackDown.
I think I remember what happened. It was because when the clip showed, it was Summer Rae sitting talking to Miz, and she was saying like, you know, what she said on Monday about, you know, she saw him in the locker room, and then out comes Miz, out comes Dolph Ziggler, Miz and Miz, out comes Dolph Ziggler and Lana, and Dolph Ziggler was like saying, "Oh, she's lying" and stuff like that, and Summer Rae showed Lana that. Remember back in June of 2014 when they kissed each other. When Dolph Ziggler was facing Fandango, and then Lana saw it, and then she had enough of Summer Rae and she beat her up.
Ah, okay. So that's what happened on Ms. TV tonight.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Because like that whole feud, that whole storyline is just devolving, in my opinion. Like now it's going into like, you know, stupid, you know, drama shit. So I mean, I hope they have some plan of where they're going with that, but I just don't know.
It's gonna be a mixed tag team match at Nine Champions.
Well, I figured that, but that whole twist is very strange, and I don't understand the reason behind it.
And they just ignited the split just now. Like it's gonna start. They're gonna start splitting up.
Yeah.
So continuing with the rating.
6.5. Good wrestling, some solid stuff in between, just nothing overly special.
Yep, I wasn't too offended by anything, so I give it an average 7.
I'll go with a 7 as well.
Stephanie McMahon.
Steph. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we are done with Raw. So we want to thank Brandon Bisco Bing for calling once again and kind of chatting with us about Raw. So, man, looking forward to you talking to you next week, man.
Yep. Talk to you guys next week.
Later, Brandon.
See ya.
All right, guys, we are going to move on from here, and we are going to jump into some NXT. And don't forget, we are also doing a Crime Wave segment this episode that is going to include a lot of crime stories that have happened this week. You don't want to miss it. It's been the biggest news of the week in the world of wrestling, so don't forget about that. Yeah, it has for sure. So, okay, guys, well, we will be right back after this.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Alright. Moving on to NXT here.
I was about to say, I was like, why are we quiet?
Well, because there's a
okay, yeah.
clip that plays.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we get basically told about the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and we begin with returning the Ascension against Baron Corbin and Rhino. We get to hear the yas again. It's been a while. Full Sail, and man, it's like they never left.
I was a bit surprised that they came back.
They probably should.
I was like looking at my screen and said, "The Ascension's here? What?"
It is kind of cool that they're bringing back the old tag teams and whatever to compete in this. Sort of giving a nostalgia little thing for the Full Sail crowd there.
Mm-hmm.
But what'd you guys think of this match? It was like 5 minutes. Baron Corbin and Rhino win after Baron caused a distraction and let Rhino hit the gore.
I mean, it was eh. I mean, it didn't wow me, but I liked it, I guess.
I think it was fine for what it was. Honestly, my favorite part was the "ya" chants again because I kind of missed those. And one more "ya," just good chants. Baron Corbin kind of playing the guy in peril didn't do a lot for me. I think Rhino getting into spots where he did was fine too. But I don't know how okay I am with Rhino and Corbin going over. But I guess the damage has been done to the Ascension to where it just doesn't matter anymore.
I was fine. I was fine with Baron Corbin and Rhino winning.
Yeah, they're gonna push the guys that are around NXT right now. So,
Yeah, and on the main roster, everybody's seeing just the total annihilation of the Ascension. So bring him to NXT and have him go over doesn't do anybody any good, and this is what this is all about. It's about having Rhino and Baron Corbin be their best, and makes you wonder, can these guys go far? Can they really, move further and further, in this tournament, and can they win it? And I think they did a good job of making you feel like they could.
Exactly what he said. He explained it a lot better than I did.
Here you go, Gary. You win the explanation award for this.
Oh man, I'll be looking for my cash prize soon.
Of $1. Of $9.
Gary will be giving cash to himself.
Yeah.
I was gonna say $9.99.
Oh man, that's already coming out of my account.
Nice. So, this is the aforementioned match that I talked about when we were talking about quick hits. Alexa Bliss and Blue Pants.
From clearance rack.
Blue Pants. Alexa Bliss used the the sitting abdominal stretch twice. Finally got a Blue Pants rally where she hit a Northern Lights. That was pretty much the extent of her doing anything. She hit a bad glitz flip, and then a decent makeup with a sparkle splash.
I actually like that move.
Yeah, she does that move pretty well. She seems to have regressed.
She's still green though as hell.
Yeah, I mean, she was doing pretty okay for a little while, and then I think just not wrestling, I think it's probably just, regressed her a bit there.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword there because she didn't look terrific here. I think the moveset is there. She just needs to work on it again some more. But her character has come across leaps and bounds, and I think that is what everybody should be the most impressed with. Because she used to be just sort of dull as dishwater babyface, and now she's this really exciting heel, even though she's sort of lost a step or two in the ring.
Yeah, she was basically being a cheerleader fairy, whatever.
Yeah, that's a fairy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with all you guys are saying here, and I look for Alexa Bliss to continue on and develop, and I think when it comes to heel, definitely just the personality has popped for sure. I mean, I never expected it to be this way, but certainly a great personality is growing from her, and of course, I think eventually she'll be well rounded. But it is kind of funny that. The ring action, the ring work has not really followed with the development as fast. I mean, it's getting there, but it's not as fast as the, if you want to say it, the more the personality is growing.
Did you like the sparkle gloves or whatever those were?
Oh, I saw those, yeah.
Yeah.
They look like pseudo Michael Jackson things.
I think they work for her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say about her character that but yeah, like you said, I don't know who said it, but sorry, but
okay.
when you said what one of you said about that she was like this fairy cheerleader, and then she completely changed herself, and now she's this heel persona, and I really enjoyed the heel persona more than the glitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really lucked into that. I mean, one of those that you never knew she needed a heel turn, and then she got it, and
like when she got involved in that match with Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus Blake and Murphy, I was like, oh no, she's turning heel. What's she gonna do? And then she proved me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, she made Blake and Murphy. You wanted to pay attention to them now. So
very true.
We know why they really want to pay attention to Blake and Murphy.
Yeah.
The seizures you're having while you're watching their entrance.
The seizure.
I was wondering why every time I watch NXT and they come out, I wake up and I'm peed all over myself. It's weird.
That's a visual I didn't want. Thank you.
No,
what happened?
Yeah.
Why am I wet?
Exactly.
Why am I wet?
The one visual I do want to have is Alexa Bliss to have the gloves that have the glitter on them, and when she opens up her hands, it says "Beat It."
Oh,
that's man, Gary, the innuendo there.
I wasn't trying to go there, but we'll go there.
Michael Jackson approves.
We've done that, already on this show. So it's fun. Apollo Crews beats Martin Stone in another not so squash, but squash match. I thought they still looks a little rough.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. He kind of looks a little stiff still. I mean, but it's only his second match, so I'm not worried about it yet.
Paul?
I don't know if there's any. Yeah, I mean, I think he nailed it. Second match. I don't know if there's anything you really need to worry about just yet. If we're talking about the same thing in a couple months, might have some problems.
Mm-hmm.
But that standing moonsault though was brilliant.
Oh yeah, he's surefire athlete.
They're holding him back a lot. It feels like because this isn't the sort of Uhaa Nation that I'm used to seeing.
Like I've seen him some TV shows too, and I don't know.
Yeah, he does, dives to the outside and stuff, which is, weird that they don't let him do that.
I think what he's doing is he's trying to. Oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna say?
No, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say I think that he's saving like those moves for like bigger shows or something.
I think there is something to that. I also think WWE doesn't know whether they want to let him go full bore or not, because he is this big, powerful-looking guy, and if you have this guy doing springboards to the outside and Lord knows whatever else is happening, I don't know if they know what to do with a guy like that, because they've never really had that outside Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is sort of a straightforward guy now. He's not what he used to be, as far as in ring goes.
When he used to do shooting star presses.
Yeah, I mean, he used to be able to do shooting star presses and all that, and they held him back on that too. But I don't think they know where they want to go with Apollo Crews. That being said, I wish they would re-sign Martin Stone. I think the guy is a great talent that they should do something with.
They would. I mean, they have let Owens do a little bit of flying stuff. So I mean,
didn't he do Cesaro at SummerSlam?
Yeah, I mean, he did it with Cena too. It's just it's not out of the question that what Renzo was saying is right too. That they're letting him save it for bigger moments. The next takeover where he's actually in a feud, and you want to have that big spectacular go. Oh my God, this dude can do that, and he's this big. Like whoa, just put him on the map, sort of deal. And we also have Tyler Breeze being awesome. Tyler Breeze, where he gets in the face of William Regal, and he tells him, "Hey, I want to be in this Dusty Rhodes Classic too. You need to find me a partner, just like you found me, Mr. Liger." And Regal says he has a perfect partner for him, Bull Dempsey. So
you know what I was going to say when he said that? Before he said Bull Dempsey, I was going to say Eugene.
That would have probably worked too.
Hi, I'm Eugene.
We've seen them. We've seen them have matches. We've them tagging as the total opposites tag team, which works fine. And we also got to find out that Gargano and Ciampa are going to be in the tag tournament itself as well.
They've signed with NXT, huh? Right?
Not officially. They're just there, kind of like with Blue Pants. They're just kind of doing deals right now.
Yeah, it's like a per appearance thing.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure they're getting just as much, or if not more, than TNA is getting all their roster.
Hey, this is gonna be my chance to see what they're made of.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen them, they are both terrific guys. Who knows what they're gonna let them do, but we'll see it in due time here next week. That being said, we get a man. I love Jason Jordan and Chad Gable are just so good. Not only in the ring, but they work really well off each other. I thought this little promo they did backstage with Devin Taylor was really good. Them making fun of Neville and Crow. And I think they kind of got this thing down. I know they're doing the whole world's greatest tag team sort of vibe, but they definitely have more personality than both guys. And of course, Chad Gable with his awesome catchphrase is a highlight of him doing it.
I am high on Chad Gable right now.
I want to know who's not high on Chad Gable.
He may become the next Kurt Angle.
What do you think, Paul? Of this,
there's that Kurt Angle, Charlie Haas vibe to him, but he's just
that's what I'm thinking too. Like he has that Kurt Angle vibe to me.
The vibe is there. It's his height, man. It just throws me out. He's really short, especially when you stand him next to Jason Jordan, who is just like a freaking giant next to him. But I think their tag team works really well. That being said, because as for them, it's not about size or anything. Well, Jordan it is, but Chad Gable just uses wrestling, which I think works to his advantage. We're gonna have to see with Chad. I like him. I want to like him a lot more, but he just he's so short, and it just bugs me. Normally it doesn't, but I don't know.
I mean, at least he looked fine in here against two other short guys, Neville and Solomon Crow. So
I don't want to take anything away from Chad Gable's ability or anything like that. It's just the vibe and the style that he's working. It just doesn't fit with his look,
Right. What did you think of the match here, Paul?
The match was great. I thought this was a really well-worked 10-minute match. Jordan and Gable have really come along as a tag team. I think Neville and Solomon Crow even had some nice little one-off moves here. The double dive, I think, was awesome. This was good stuff. Chad Gable, Jason Jordan getting the win was nice too.
What'd you think, Renzo?
Everything you guys said. I like the match. I like you guys pretty much said what I wanted to say. So I like Chad Gable. I like Jason Jordan. I like that tag team. Obviously, obviously Chad Gable's the talker.
I think Jordan kind of does okay. Definitely such a world different than the guy that had the afro with a then Mike Dalton, Tyler Breeze tagging together at one point. How he has come in strides, that guy. And he's definitely just both of them heck of athletes. They're gonna be something.
Chad Gable reminds me. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, Chad Gable just reminds me of a 2000 Kurt Angle, man. A 2000 Kurt Angle.
He has that. He has the sort of comedies thing with like Kurt Angle did, all that. I mean, he definitely brings that vibe completely. Just like
obviously he doesn't have talent like Kurt Angle. I mean, my God, but
Yeah, but that's a once in a lifetime sort of thing.
That's literally like the term lightning in a bottle.
Right, exactly. And especially that he wasn't just this wrestler. He was a guy that he developed into, hey, I can talk on the microphone, and I can be funny, and I can, do serious and all that stuff. I mean, he developed into being multifaceted. So, Gary, what do you think about all this here?
Well, the simple thing is, I know now that Jason Jordan is Gable. That's what I know. I liked it. The match was fine. Everything was, pretty on par. I've grown to like these guys pretty well. Gable's a guy that I really wanted to see what he could do because of just what we were talking about, the Kurt Angle comparison, guys that have done, amateur wrestling, especially on that Olympic level. So it's nice to, get a chance to see more in the ring than we usually do. I like both these guys, though. I also like their interaction. The interaction they have backstage, I know that's, a part of this, and they did pretty well together, I think, backstage. They both did cut a pretty decent promo.
But I like that
interactions backstage. You did have a really awkward. I thought it was kind of awkward between Joe and Balor.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Samoa Joe's gonna turn on him.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty obvious, but still, it was just really not Joe.
No.
And then you also had the we almost forgot here, the match of the night, the one that we all need to be talking about, Eva Marie against Billie Kay. I know Paul has to.
Who's this Eva Marie?
Yeah. All read everything. I mean, freaking. One thing I will remember about this match more than the wrestling is Corey Graves just going total blasting on Rich Brennan about everything during this match. He just went total heel dick mode on commentary. But, the match is about 4 minutes. Eva Marie still looks bad, and I feel bad for somebody that I know Paul likes a lot, Billie Kay, having to deal with that. Paul, that was your cue.
Oh, I thought we were going to pitch to the guest like usual. My bad. Eva Marie totally looked like crap in this. She looked slower than usual. She didn't kick out when she was supposed to. She looked bad. And, I mean, Billie Kay, I think, is a future superstar diva. I think she's somebody that they can really put the division on and carry. But, Jesus, Eva Marie was awful in this.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking the gospel.
Oh, man.
Gary?
Yeah, and you probably don't want to hear me talk about this, especially since I'm not on the board with the Eva Marie train. Never have been. It's a...
Yeah, we do have somebody on the line.
Okay.
Thank you for calling Wrestler Max, who is this?
This is your resident AJ Lee lover.
Oh, Tony!
Mr. Acero, welcome to the show, man.
I just got back from the gym. I'm butt-ass naked, and what better way to enjoy this nudity than to call and talk about the horribleness that is Eva Marie.
Very descriptive. Very descriptive.
I just wish Summer Rae could have described you in that shower. But anyway, continue with what you have to say about this Eva Marie.
Well, one would assume that she has been on her back longer than 3 seconds, so I can understand why she didn't get up right away. But the reality of the situation is that if you're... See, here's the thing. I invested a lot of energy into defending Eva Marie to naysayers only because I saw the effort. And as a wrestling fan, sometimes all you want to see is effort. The fact that you got your own training from Brian Kendrick, who I have met, who I have talked to, who I have seen numerous times both in and out of the ring, and when he's not high, he is very, very astute. So the mentality is that she's getting at least a modicum of experience. And then you watch NXT, and she is stilted from the minute she comes out to the minute she leaves. Like, I had an argument on my podcast, The Raw Reaction, every Monday night on the VOC Network, immediately after Raw. And and my argument was the idea, I compared it to someone trying to learn how to DJ within 2 weeks. And my argument was, I believe that any person can learn the basics of wrestling and put on some semblance of a good match with someone of skill and merit. And that argument was proven incorrect and blatantly wrong due to Eva Marie. So now I'm mad at her because she made me look like a fool. But aside from that, like, you would think that either any one of us in this podcast, any one of us talking right now, could learn to run the rope and body slam and do what they've done on Tough Enough, and with an able partner like Billie Kay, put something that resembles a match. Eva Marie couldn't even do that. I mean, she's one step away from Cameron, who's getting trained by Paige now, and I'm not even sure I trust that anymore. Cameron pins Naomi, I believe it was, on her stomach. Eva Marie neglected to kick out to the point where a ref had to stop.
I saw that. I started laughing so bad.
Yeah, and that was just the worst thing that happened. Other than that, she didn't do her finisher. Billie Kay did her finisher. Billie Kay lifted her up, allowed her to flip, and fell on her face. Eva Marie had nothing to do with that. Yeah. Her coming out of the onto the entrance ramp, and she just looked like she didn't belong there. Really uncomfortable. Like she forgot that she wasn't wearing underwear, and someone just figured it out. And like she just looked completely unaware. And I'm sorry, but man, if you're being trained and you're putting forth the energy and making me as a fan believe that you're going to do something with that, and then you don't, you make me want to hit you. And I don't hit girls.
Good for you. No, seriously, good for you.
Thank
you. It's it is ridiculous, and you pointed out, Tony. I mean, she's had all this special training. She's been able to do it at home. She's had the ability to do what she wants to do on her terms, and she gives us that product. If I'm Triple H, if I'm anybody in the NXT management, I'm looking at this and saying, do we ever allow anybody to do this again because of this reason? Do we have any hope at all for Eva Marie? Because right now, after that showing, I have no hope.
No, not anymore. I don't. I lost all hope. And what bothers me is that you can tell by the little things that the storyline is supposed to be that she eventually gets to a title shot. Just the way she's making the motions of her belt around her waist, the whole mentality of the commentary, training, how she's been through vigorous training. This win catapults her one step closer to the title. I mean, I have to imagine that somebody is putting all of this money, literally money, and effort and energy into making her the next big thing. And I don't know why the WWE doesn't realize that big or small, we create the next big thing, not them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're totally right.
Not only that, but it's just, to me, when you are... I think this is a bad call. I don't know if this is not... I can't imagine this is Triple H making this call. This has to be Vince or whoever making this call, because when you are still in the thinking stages of, and this is from somebody that's, been there, whatever, I've been through this. If you're still thinking about everything that you are doing while you're in there, and people can literally watch you do this, you are going to hurt someone before it's over. You're gonna do something that's gonna wind up hurting one of these girls, or you're gonna wind up hurting yourself. Like, it's just that sliced bread looked terrible. Just, you can tell she is thinking about everything she's doing. That should be immediate. You know what you're gonna do. Whether it's Billy Kay's own or okay, next spot, whatever. Just, it's terrible to me. Like, it's really bad how she moves, and nothing is fluid. It's all bad. I mean, like, all the rest of the divas are not this bad as she is. It's just, to me, it's just so.
Yeah. She essentially wrestles the way she talks, which is, incohesive thought and rambling and a little bit of a slur sometimes, like she's drunk or, chewed on one too many penises, and I just not really sure.
Or the one penis too long.
Well, I don't know. You know what's funny is I watch Total Divas. I watch it with my little sister, and although it's reality TV and it's staged and a lot of this is fake, I feel that there are certain pieces of each one of these females that rings true. And if you watch Eva Marie on the newest season, I felt sympathy for her. She's like, I'm getting training. I'm trying to do better at my job. But it just comes a time where you have to sit down with someone and say, you're not cut out for this. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, we got you some new tits. That's awesome. You'd be a great valet, and this isn't saying that she can't get better. I've always said, people that suck at promos, I want them to speak. I want them to suck. I want them to get more practice because that's one of the only ways that you get better. But judging by what we've seen over the course of a few years from her, I don't know if you can get better. Maybe she's just not athletically sound. I don't know. But either way, it seems to me like a failed experiment,
Mm-hmm.
Nailed it in one, Tony.
I mean, everything would be better if AJ Lee just returned.
Yes. You want to talk about gospel? That's it right there.
Hallelujah.
Tony, I mean, she is still having her impact. She's still having her impact on WWE for sure. We're seeing bullets thrown at the WWE because of it. Literally.
Yeah. Well, I do want to let you guys know that after a quiet hospital stay, I'm fully recovered. I'm sorry, Triple H, for doing that. I got a little overzealous. I just really thought AJ was there. Turns out it wasn't her.
You were that guy, were you? Oh, you got to hang up on him now. Hang up on him now.
Tony, retire the chain. Just retire the chain that you throw it at the cops.
Yeah, you don't know how many comments I got regarding me being shot at, or if I'm okay, or hope I recovered well.
Are you okay?
I'm doing all right. I'm muscle soreness, and I think I'm gonna have a scar, but I'll just call it a love wound.
Yeah.
So are you gonna sue the cop?
No, I'm not at liberty to discuss this due to my lawyer's request, but maybe in a few months. We'll speak about it. Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why I called, aside from talking about Eva Marie, was just the mere fact that I've been gone for the past 2 weeks on my show, and I felt, that the world needed to hear my voice. So
it has
totally
taken
fair.
place. Yes.
You should testify today.
Yes. So you have just blessed and anointed this podcast even further, Tony. So we appreciate you calling.
Of course. I want you guys to continue to have a good night. Whoever's listening, you can hang up now that I'm leaving, but I urge you to stay for the rest of the show. They are entertaining, so just give them the time that they deserve. It's not like you're doing anything anyway. And then join me on my triumphant return to the Raw recap on 411mania.com and the Raw reaction on VOC Nation, or wherever the fuck we are this week. I don't know. Just Google me, okay? That's what you're supposed to say, right? Google me. Yeah. That's what people use now. Yeah.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. It was great talking to you guys. I missed you guys, and I actually had some time. I'm a busy man, so you guys enjoy the rest of the show, and hug each other and pretend it was me.
Oh, thank you.
All
Tony.
right,
We appreciate
You got
it,
it, buddy.
Later.
Yes, but keep in mind that I'm naked. So.
Oh yes, we'll
Right.
be glistening. Thinking glistening. Okay.
All right.
Later.
You guys have a nice one.
Oh, that's awesome. That is Tony Acero once again from One Mania's own, and a great guy. Thanks so much for him calling in. So
He better watch through his windows. Maybe Summer Rae is probably looking.
oh, I'm sure she is.
Those
All right,
divas
Sean.
just can't get enough of Tony Acero.
I'll just give my 2 cents real quick about Eva Marie.
Go ahead.
First of all, like, you guys pretty much all nailed it on the coffin. I can't understand why she's so bad. Like, she runs the ropes really slow. You can obviously tell she's running those ropes
Because she
really slow.
shouldn't be out there, but they're making her be out there. Just, I'm sorry.
She couldn't kick out of a pin, and the ref had to stop for some reason. When I saw that, I was like, why did the ref stop? She's not even kicking out.
Mm-hmm.
And the NXT Brooklyn show, I felt bad for Carmella because she had to have a match against Eva Marie. And it took 10 seconds for that crowd to boo. They already knew. And she needs to go.
Yeah.
I mean, she can improve, but this is where you don't have her on TV until she can be just as good as a Dana Brooke or a Carmella, or just they're almost putting on her there green as grass and going, okay, you're just gonna learn right here. Just
It's going to be for.
That's the thing too for me, is that this is where I think, like, learning with Brian Kendrick is one thing, but you're also having to adjust to wrestling with women that wrestle different styles. You don't have experience with any of these women you're wrestling with. I don't know if she's still only wrestling with Brian Kendrick. Is she back in the Performance Center doing stuff? So it just really seems off in all capacities.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. Who's a better wrestler, Carmella or Eva Marie?
Carmella, hands down.
Carmella.
Okay, thank
She showed at a takeover.
Mm-hmm. She managed to actually make sure that match didn't fall apart into an even worse state. And that's something.
I got in a little argument about, like, there was a post on the Solo Monster group page that they're saying Eva Marie, like, everybody talks about Eva Marie being a horrible wrestler, but what about Carmella? She's bad. She's just as bad too. And I said, nope. Because you know why? Because she's actually trying. She actually cares. And Sarah Del Rey is actually teaching her.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
was like, I didn't literally say that, but that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, with the talent that is there, as in training wise, it's amazing that anybody at the NXT level has a problem progressing. Honestly, I mean, they've got so many great teachers there. People that are so qualified. Sarah Del Rey even overqualified to an extent because she could get in the ring and to just do it herself. So it's just amazing to see that some people just can't get it. So.
You can't do this? Well, let me show you.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to also remember you have to have a little bit of modicum of being an athlete to do this, especially now more than in the past. And I have to wonder, she says she wants it, but does she really?
I mean, look at all the women that Sarah Del Rey has produced: Sasha Banks, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, even Carmella. Who else? Oh, Emma and Paige.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all those women, and look at Eva Marie. There's your answer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, some of these women had experience on the indies. And,
a lot of those women had experience on the indies. But
yeah, I mean, we have to give, they got to learn in other places. Then they just get to, Sarah Amato, learn the style that they want them to learn and get better. but learning straight through from there is a different experience altogether than learning in a different place.
She should have learned from Sarah Del Rey instead of Brian Kendrick.
I don't care if you have both of them teaching her. She shouldn't be this bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, it's just the proof in the pudding is what you're getting, and I don't think it's working. And
Yep.
I'm terrified that they're going to think it's working okay. So
That's WWE for you.
That's a scary, scary thought if they think this was
I
okay.
just can't imagine like Triple H would go up to Vince and go, "She's ready." I don't care what in the world Triple H should be said. I just cannot imagine Triple H goes, "Yeah, Vince, you can bring her up now." Like,
Nope.
So
She's going to be NXT Women's Champion.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, Lord, I hope not.
Since on that terrible note, what else do we have in NXT?
That's it. That's the
it?
end of NXT.
Okay.
Man. It's time for me to go then.
Oh, man. It has been so fun having you on the show, Renzo. Man, we really appreciate you calling.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure.
You're welcome back anytime.
Okay, I'll call back when Eva Marie wins the title.
Yeah. You do that
What a
because
dark day.
I may be a little preoccupied. I got to learn how to tie knots that night. So,
Do you want to pimp your show really quick before you leave?
Oh, yeah, you can listen to us on Valiants on the Podbean. And I am the Troll Master of Wrestling Valiants. We're an awesome show. I saw this one too. You guys were all great. And you guys are awesome. And this is my ta-ta, like Adam Rose would say.
There you go. I love it. I love it. All right, man. Well, good once again to have you on the show, and we'll be catching you on the flip side, man.
All right. Thank you. See you guys later.
All right. Okay. Well, man, we have one special, little segment coming up here. We call the Crime Wave. Now, this will be kind of fun because it's going to be a lot of crime, but a lot of sad news. So let's go ahead and get on to that. We'll be right back with the Crime Wave. Man, if that music doesn't fire you up to talk about crime, I don't know what does.
God bless
I don't know
Gary,
that I
with
would
the
be
cop
fired
scene.
up to talk about crime, Gary.
I know. It's just that music. It gets me pumped every time. I love it. All right. Well,
Now
let's start.
twice on the show that we could get sued by someone, but that's okay.
Yeah. At least we have Paul Heyman as our advocate. So.
Yeah. I mean, I should note, I forgot to say this before he got off. If you want to look for it, his podcast anywhere but Podbean, like iTunes and stuff, you have to just search Valiants because it's under a network, and it has a logo with a W with a slash through it, and his podcasts in there with other podcasts that he and his friends do in there. So
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, go check them out, guys. I mean, we always love to promote other shows on here, just because we know how it is, to have to try to get the word out, and it's not easy. It really isn't. So we all use a network and connect. It's great. Let's start out with something that was very scary, and something that I really didn't expect to happen. I should have expected to happen, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened. But this is very scary, with the gentleman going and basically harassing the WWE Performance Center. There's a guy that, and I'm blanking on his name, Sean, and I didn't write it down, so if you want to find his name, if you don't mind. But anyway, on this week, we had a gentleman go up there and he's covered the Performance Center, the exterior, with feces and urine and things like that. And he's got video of this. Just a lot of disgusting things that this guy.
Gross.
Oh, it's terrible. And this guy has video after video about his obsession with AJ Lee, and he's got all these other issues he's dealing with. But long story short, this past week he is up there and he is causing more havoc. And the police are called once again. The police have been called on this gentleman lots of times. They have an entire record of having to show up at the performance center and check things out and see what's going on. And this day, 2 plainclothes officers show up and they're trying to approach him. And he is told that he has a knife. They don't know this. They just are told that, so they're very careful, draw their guns. And he starts walking towards them. They ask him to stop. He doesn't stop. And an officer unloads a round, and that does go through his stomach area, causing him to go down. And from there, he had to go to the hospital and have surgery, which was very serious surgery because it was life-threatening. And from our understanding, which we know very limited understanding of his hospital situation, he's still in serious condition. So by the time you're listening to this, there may be more updates, but that's where we stand at this point during this podcast. So this is a situation, once again, I never expected this to happen, but Paul, how could I not expect this to happen? As many people watch WWE, as many people get obsessed with a product or talent of WWE, this is just an amazing story.
I know, it's so weird that it's literally happening on their doorstep. I think is the really scary part. They obviously have facilities sort of all over the East Coast there, with their headquarters up in Connecticut. They got the Performance Center. I'm sure they have other places. But gee, I mean, this is really, really scary. Like, if I'm the WWE, I'm thinking about investing in maybe security service, something like that, because this is a bad day.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And, just the thought process of this, if I'm a talent in that organization, or even if I'm a staffer, if I'm a person that works in the front office, it really makes you wonder on your walk out to your car or your journey around anywhere on the campus, what's going to happen to you? Is someone going to try to attack me? Do I not know that I have a stalker that is waiting for me somewhere around this area? I'm just trying to go to work, but the next thing you know, I'm being harassed, or things like this. It's just to me, it would be very nerve-wracking working the Performance Center with this happening, and it's just a shock that this would ever happen anyway. But I mean, this is a sad story for the guy. He obviously has to have some mental issues. I don't know that for a fact. But he's got to if he's let it get this far. Sean, I mean, what do you think about this whole thing?
This is really, like you said, it's something I'm surprised we haven't heard of before. I'm sure that we've had fans that show up there and they've had to tell them to leave, but I don't know that they've ever had somebody like this where he's just a stalker and it's just, it's one of those things where, I mean, to me, just, I can't believe, the story you were telling me where he's apparently been peeing and, leaving feces everywhere and all that. I mean, my God, really?
No.
I'm sorry, if I'm trying to draw out some woman to come see me that works there, that's certainly not the way I'm thinking about it. I just, I'm glad that something finally happened where he's not stalking Lita anymore, that's been working there. At least AJ's been able to not be there, so she doesn't have to worry about it from a physical standpoint, but I'm just glad he never got in and was able to hurt anyone. It sucks that this happened to him as far as getting shot and whatever. Hope, he lives and is able to move on with his life, but this is scary. It's certainly not something that when you go to your workplace, I mean, you don't want that happening.
Definitely. And, it's so sad. I mean, it seems like every week, every day, you hear about a new shooting of people being killed pointlessly. And, he didn't bring a gun, but he did end up getting shot. And, this whole thing is just, it seems like a everyday occurrence, and you hate to hear this kind of stuff. And you'll wish that you could knock some sense into some people. Don't do this. It's okay to be a fan, but don't do this. And I don't know really what to think about it when it comes to the fact that where he was, if he had a weapon, if he didn't have a weapon, were the cops right, were the cops wrong. We're going to have that debate once again for the 100th time this year. But once again, you just have to err on the side of caution, and I think the police officers did what they could. So that's the information we have for you tonight. But the one thing I do want to say, though, this is a little bit more scarier, is the fact that this guy has worked for WWE on a voluntary basis. He was actually working security for them at a WrestleMania, and this is actually been on record. And so this same guy that has been harassing and basically causing trouble at the WWE, and also doing very disgusting things, has worked for them as security. That's kind of ironic. But, I mean, it makes you wonder if WB is going to have to reevaluate maybe some of their background, and all that when it comes to getting people, even volunteers, So, but, enough of that news. Let's move on to something else. Let's talk about Bram. Now, earlier we talked about TNA and their future. Let's talk about Bram's future, okay? So, Bram has apparently
not getting any more multi-year deals. That's
yeah.
Yes.
And even if he did, it may not matter because he was suspended indefinitely, so that could be the entire span of any deal he had. And TNA is suspending him until they find out what has gone on and what the court will decide with Bram. But Bram got into an argument with his girlfriend. It escalated. He ended up choking her. That's not nice.
Not Charlotte.
No, not Charlotte. That was their little flub with the police was a few years ago, right? It was, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. It was when he got fired from the Ascension. So, saying all that, he choked his girlfriend, and she was able to get away and call the police, of course. And so, he was honest with the cops, told them what he did, arrested, of course. And so, here we go. Now, this isn't the NFL, but this is wrestling. We're having one of these, domestic disputes and leading into assault and a form of kidnapping because he wouldn't let her go. There's a lot of stuff that I think Bram's going to be dealing with here. Not only that, we also got to remember one thing. This guy is not an American-born citizen. I'm sure he's here on some sort of visa because he is, English from England. So, what do you guys think about this? This is just amazing that this guy can't keep his nose clean.
It certainly points to why WWE let him go. It certainly sucks for him because I felt like he was doing something in TNA. Granted, that's sort of tailed off recently, in my opinion, but he was something. He was something of a bright spot for him, and maybe that's why they were so happy to sign him to continual multi-year deals for some reason. But or they just didn't want you to forget. Whatever. Totally sucks for this guy. Totally sucks for TNA. It's just another bullet that they have to take now, as they're already on the way to the grave.
Yeah, this is just bad. I mean, you really shouldn't be doing this with you. I mean, how many times do we talk about assaults with football players? They just had another one happen today with college players. Even breaking some woman's jaw. I mean, it's just amazing to me how this stuff just keeps happening, and it when we have awareness about it, it seems to be happening even more. So it's just I don't get it. Like Gary said, this is not Bram's first time with the law. So I mean, at least they didn't. TNA must have a lot of faith in Bram because they didn't do what the NFL does, which is just we're gonna cut you right now. So. I just don't see how this is going to wind up good for the guy at all.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, it just makes you wonder once again his status with, visa or, work release, whatever it is. I just have, some questions about that. And, with TNA's future, he may not even have to worry about a suspension because he may not even have a place to go back to. Not saying I want that to happen. I'm just being honest, So, I mean, once again, a true talented guy wasting it on, doing things that are just very ignorant and very, very wrong. Let's talk about a wasted legend, possibly. A guy that, is one of the more historical legends. We still talk about him to this day, and time has caught up with him. The hands of justice have caught him, and here we go with Mr. Jimmy Snuka. There was controversy with him back in the day, 1980s, with, his girlfriend passing away, and there was always theories that he had killed her on accident, and it wasn't on purpose, but they couldn't really prove anything. They never really had anything come of it. They've had people reopen the case, get more in depth with it, look and see some of the details that they may have missed, and now they have formally charged Jimmy Snuka with involuntary manslaughter, and now he's going to have a third-degree charge.
Third-degree murder.
Mm-hmm. So this is just a sad, sad situation. This is from 1985. It just shocks you that this many years have passed, and he's this old, and they've caught him. Which that's fine. I'm all into in cold cases. I don't care how old someone is, as long as they catch him and they eventually face some sort of justice, and they have their day in court. I just think this is such a sad, sad story. We know Snuka is not in the best of health situations. We know that, his legend in the WWE and, of course, all of wrestling has been a big deal. What do you think about this? I mean, do you feel bad for him, or do you not because of this situation?
I don't know how bad I can feel for a guy, especially with the way they caught him, where the police statements that they had for what happened to his girlfriend at the time to what was put out in his autobiography didn't mesh. That stinks a lot. Of a whole lot of something went down back then that maybe we're not privy to, and maybe a lot of people aren't privy to. At any rate, I mean, I don't think he was ever going to do anything for the WWE again at this point in his life. It certainly is sad just to see that. I mean, at some point he murdered somebody, because that sucks for the family who has the lost one, and obviously he's going to have to pay the price now. But I don't know how bad I can feel for the guy.
I can't feel bad for him either, because he lived 32 years that the girlfriend didn't. He also, I hate correcting Gary, but it was 1983, actually.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
And, Nancy just was his girlfriend, and she got, what did they find, like 50 freaking different marks on her? From her feet all the way up to, like, most of her body and stuff. This was not an accident. How could that be an accident when you look at it? It's just, to me, the fact that he got to get away with it was for so many years. The person I do feel bad for is his daughter, who is in WWE right now, and I'm sure having to face a lot of issues with this, and WWE probably having to maybe take some extra precautions with her and all that kind of stuff when she goes somewhere because of people. It's to me. The only thing I do feel bad about is that if he has dementia and stuff, and the fact that he might have to spend he's going to have to spend the last years of his life with all certainty in a jail cell, unless he can get some kind of medical clearance for that. And I don't feel bad for him either, because supposedly he told everybody that he didn't have money, and that if he would have paid the settlement that was taken out against him, they probably wouldn't have opened up the case.
Mm-hmm.
So, you never know. If he would have just paid the money, if we would even be talking about this right now, and it would still just be in wrestling lore forever as, the guy that killed him. And, the other thing that we haven't talked about yet, but there's a legend that goes along with it that says Vince McMahon helped cover it up. Which, he told the cops something, he paid him off, or, I don't know how you would prove that he was involved. That's the thing, other than Snuka just saying it. The thing is, if Snuka has dementia at this point, I wonder if he even remembers.
Yeah.
So I mean, Vince might be in the clear that way, but if Vince gets found about this, talk about what this could do to WWE. I mean, he's been taken off the Hall of Fame page and all that stuff, but just crazy.
Yeah, it is very crazy. I don't feel bad for him for what he did. I just, at his age and his situation medically, that's what saddens me. Just because, when you do have dementia, and I don't know the extremes that he has it. So, I mean,
but have you seen him? He doesn't look good either. He looks really bad.
I'm assuming, his time is very short with us anyway. That's my best guess. So, I mean, I understand pursuing this and making him pay for what he's done, but I don't think he's going to live that long once he does get put in a situation like prison. I just don't imagine it's going to work out well for him. So, but once again, I mean, if he truly did this and it looks like all fingers point to him, he needs to pay it no matter what. So,
do you think Vince will get implicated in this, or
they got to find proof? And if the only thing they have left 30 years on is Jimmy Snuka with dementia, I don't know how much there is to be found.
Mm-hmm. And where are those cops that took the bribe? Would they come out? And I highly doubt any of those people would come out, because I mean, think about how it's been 32 years
they
for them.
They committed a crime too.
Right.
And it's 32 years for them too, and do they really want to come out to their families, their friends, their peers? Oh, by the way, yes, I was a person who took a bribe. No, that's not going to happen. Trust me. Unless they come to Jesus and they think that they've got to repent for everything. So, I don't know. This whole thing is a sad story. It really, really is. Another story that we do have, and this is pretty much what we're going to wind down with here on this crime wave segment, is the fact that we had a NXT diva, if that's what we call them in NXT, that was, made famous not too long ago for being the girlfriend of Seth Rollins. Of course, we all know the infamous pictures of both of them, and that is...
Oh. Gary?
That's not good.
Well, that's really weird. Gary just cut off a mid-sentence there. Yeah, we lost him there. I don't know what happened, but what he was trying to say was the Zahra Schreiber and her infamous Instagram photos from 2012, which had Nazi imagery on them. If she had just left it alone and not responded to anyone, she might still have a job right now. But the fact that she just went on rant after rant after rant with different fans that were pointing out the imagery, also the whole delete your shit if you know you have stuff that is offensive. She might have just forgot about it for all we know, but what do you think, Paul? I mean, was WWE right in firing her for this stuff?
I hope that the lady in question knows just how silly and dumb this whole thing was. First off, anything with Nazi imagery should be nowhere on you, anywhere. That it's a permanent black mark in human history. It's never going away. It's always going to be something that's remembered as this awful, terrible thing. And it's going to have implications if you decide to invest in said imagery that relates to Nazis. Why you would want to keep this around, why you would want to even mention that you have it, why would you even want to argue about it, it's just not smart. And clearly this is her MO, because this is not the first time she's been in trouble, obviously, and she very clearly doesn't make smart choices. Good on you, WWE, for getting out of this one early.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these, I guess Gary's calling back here. It's certainly something that I don't think WWE thought they were going to have to deal with. They already, she already had one strike against her because of whatchamacallit, the whole thing with Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of these things with, it might have been the last Raw, like, we can kind of deal with her having a discussion with fans a little bit, but this is just going too far. And she's defending it too, which is the other thing. If you're starting to defend the Nazi imagery, well, can't help you much there.
It means peace and prosperity and all these wonderful things. I've never seen a Nazi flag and thought peace and prosperity. Isn't that the opposite of what that means for a nation?
I think you and I both, Gary, have relatives. I don't know if you do too, Paul, that were in World War II. And that to me when I see it, other than when I'm watching a movie, obviously it's fiction or whatever, if I see something historical, I automatically associate terrible things with that flag. I cannot think of anything good that comes out of looking at that at all. And I don't know. I mean, look, everybody has their thing. I get it. There are people that are, all about Nazi whatever, and you have the right to believe how you want to believe, and that's fine. But when you're working for a corporate company that has the power over your social media accounts the way that they do, if you knew about this at all, especially if, okay, let's say it's like the Havoc situation, right? Like, it's just somebody brings it up, you forgot about it, whatever. You know what? You own up to it. I forgot I had this. Sorry, I'm going to delete it all. End of story. You keep defending it, you're just asking for it at that point, right? I mean,
I would certainly think so.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. And, I just think that she's being ignorant about this. I think she's frustrated. I don't know how much of, okay, I'll say it this way. I don't know what she believes in. I really don't. I don't know her personally, so I can't say who she is or what she, subscribes to. But I just think bad decisions mean bad results. And this is what she got. She gets fired because of this. And, these kind of things are popping up more and more. We all know this is one of the most difficult times to live in if you're a celebrity of any sort. I don't care what you are. You can't even be on the news now and have a charity without someone looking up your name, seeing who you are, and looking for pictures of you. And if you have anything wrong with you, there's going to be a whistleblower. Trust me. So, I mean, no matter if this was in the privacy of her own home, whatever she was doing, yes, it wasn't her room. Yeah, it's her room. But once it gets out there on the internet, your privacy's no more. Even us three, we don't mean anything to the world of, media or Hollywood. But guess what? If Sean has a picture of something that's inappropriate and, it's because it's something that's sitting on his desk by his computer, it's going to be a discussion. And anybody on the W2M page, network, anywhere on any of the other podcasts we do, it's going to be a big deal. People are going to talk about it. Why did Sean have this, So it's just, no matter what size of a celebrity you are or person in the public eye, it's going to be a big deal. And she doesn't understand that clearly.
Yeah, I mean, she could have thought also that Rollins would save her.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening because Rollins already had his dust-ups before, where, if the story is true that he told on the Shield documentary, he almost got fired himself for being too much of a hothead. So, that's your champion right there, and you're as I said, the side chick. I'm sure he already has problems with his other girlfriend or wife or whatever she is to him. I don't think she wants to deal anymore with, or he wants to deal anymore with protecting her and putting his job in jeopardy at that point. So,
yeah, it's a sad situation, and hopefully other NXT talent, excuse me, have learned from her mistake. So that's the best we can hope, and a lot of crazy crime stories this week, guys. On in the world of wrestling that I'm surprised we're talking about, but they all came down in 1 week, and there you go, we get a segment out of it. So
yeah, this is certainly not something you think that you're going to talk about when it comes to a wrestling show.
Yeah.
As Chris Lemsky made the joke in the group, slow news week.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I love Chris. All right, guys. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the crime wave. Let's move on out of this, and let's go ahead and we need to talk about some Ring of Honor. A lot of things happen. An interesting main event here, and of course, I get to see one of my favorite talents out of ROH, so I can't wait to talk about it. We'll be right back.
All right, Paul.
Well, I know you're not alone on the cheeseburger fandom wagon anymore. Gary is a very popular person. Came out on Twitter to say that he was on that train. But we'll get to that later, because we opened the show with Jay Briscoe and Adam Page, and this was pretty much a match masquerading as an angle. Jay wants to shake hands. Adam Page wants to slap him in the face. This pretty much ends with the Decade beating Jay Briscoe down. I believe Page pretty much smashes Jay through a whole bunch of chairs with the rite of passage before Mark Briscoe hits the ring, and we sort of clear everything out.
The whole time I was thinking, where's Mark? Where's Mark? Oh, he comes in right after the move. It is what it is. They're continuing this thing, which I actually have kind of enjoyed. I thought that this was going to be kind of dumb, but I've sort of liked this deal between Jay Briscoe and Page. They're adding more heat to it, so it's fine.
You were asking Sean, where's Mark? Where's Mark? I think we know the answer. He was obviously somewhere with Trent, because no one could ever find him. So that's fine.
Unless it's Rocky Romero, then you can find him.
Yeah, there you go. No, I mean, you're exactly right, Sean. I love, this more than I wanted to. I did not expect much out of this, but, it seems like, this is flowing well. I just think it's so great the way that, we got Paige, just kind of being like, whatever, I'm not worried about you. And there's a reason he's not worried about, Mark, Jay. I don't know why I'm getting him confused already. I don't know why he's not worried about Jay, because Jay just makes him look bad. But now you know why. Is because they were never really planning on this being real anyway. So I love it. And they actually have some chemistry here. I think it's good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the blow-off for this match. I thought this was a pretty nice piece of business overall. And we cut to another pretty nice piece of business. Dalton Castle is doing a pre-tape promo on Silas Young. He is willing to put his boys on the line in a match against Silas Young, but only if Silas Young is willing to put himself on the line to be one of Dalton Castle's boys. There is a whole lot of innuendo going on here, guys.
So true.
No glistening, though.
No glistening.
Oh, wait. You know what? That robe that Dalton Castle wears is certainly glistening.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, make a point there. This is, once again, I've got to find a way to be able to get some Ring of Honor up-to-date clips. Oh, I just don't know how to get a hold of it.
That promo by Castle was great.
Oh, that would have been in our intro in a heartbeat. We would have had, I think, 2 weeks in a row, or at least one.
Oh, man. Who loses Gary again?
Gary just can't keep a connection tonight, man.
Dang it. He was doing so well.
I know. He was on a whole tirade and everything, man. Guess we'll keep on keeping on?
Yep, I guess.
Next match is Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman. Alexander tries to walk out, but he has to walk back in to defend Veda Scott's honor or something because Caprice starts insulting her. I kind of was whatever at that. But this match I thought was pretty good. We don't get a whole ton in the 6 minutes, but what we get I think was fine. Moose comes in to stop Cedric from using the wrench on Caprice, which ends up costing him the match. I get it.
Yeah, totally get it. I don't know about Cedric losing because it's not like Caprice is really doing anything at this point. But I can get what they're doing. It's the whole revenge for the times that he's lost because of the wrench.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the match was good for what it was. It continues the storyline. Yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan of the whole defending Veda's honor thing, but it is whatever. I mean, I will say, if Veda goes around at the court office wearing stuff like that, man, I don't know how I could pay attention. So
she's probably winning cases left and right anyways.
Yeah. Totally.
Next, we move on. Another match. Brutal Bob Evans taking on Cheeseburger. I know Gary would love to talk about this. Chris Jericho is the guy who came out on Twitter and is on the Cheeseburger bandwagon now. He wants a shirt. I don't know why. This match wasn't particularly enthralling. I don't think Brutal Bob Evans is a lot worth all that much. I think Cheeseburger can bump like a son of a bitch, but I don't think he can really work the other side too well yet.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It wasn't much of anything. You did get the spectacle of Cheeseburger sort of putting Brutal Bob through the table after this, what seemed like a very long, drawn-out segment. Cheeseburger's the blue pants, that one character that you don't understand why they're over in that company, but they're over,
Mm-hmm.
or they're liked at least. And it seems like the stick with Brutal Bob has been going on for a while.
I mean, it's not like he's got a lot else to do in there, I guess.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, after that rousing match, we move on.
Wait, we can't move on yet. Gary just called. So we're right at the Cheeseburger part, Gary.
Oh, man, and I'm sorry, people. My Skype is dying for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, the Cheeseburger match. I love Cheeseburger so much. And I got to hear, who's the other celebrity that loves Cheeseburger? Tell me, Paul.
Chris Jericho.
Really?
Yeah, Chris Jericho wants a Cheeseburger shirt. He's on the bandwagon now.
That is awesome. And when I said other celebrity, I didn't mean me as the other celebrity. I'm thinking there's plenty of celebrities that love this guy. So, because I'm definitely not. That is so great to hear. And, it was fun to see. It was a great little match that they had. So I don't care what the result was or anything about this match. What matter about me is that I get to see Cheeseburger.
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on Jericho's podcast soon, to be honest.
I hope so. I'm sold. And I want a Cheeseburger shirt, too.
Main event, Jay Lethal puts the ROH World Television title on the line against Hanson. Short, it's like 10 minutes, if that. It's not particularly great, not awful.
Yeah, it wasn't anything. It was good, and that's where I put it. It wasn't anything like memorable. You need to go watch, anything like that. Hanson does some good. I mean, Hanson does cool stuff for being that big. I mean, the moonsault and all that stuff. I mean, that's no joke. But you knew Lethal was winning. Never, and I didn't. There was nothing that made me buy into Hanson winning here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it right, Sean. There's nothing like that, but it was a nice little match. I enjoyed it, and of course, the end product, what we get here, with Roderick Strong showing up. Of course, we have Red Dragon there. It brings it all into play. So, I mean, to me, it was fine for what it was worth. And not only that, you felt like you got a good match out of it. Because I did. I felt like I got a good match out of it. And then we got a conclusion that made all the sense in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're all building these feuds is what this episode does, which is what TV's supposed to do. It's just when you're used to watching good wrestling on ROH every week for a couple of months that we got there, it's sort of like a culture shock almost.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get it soon when we get the Philadelphia shows with the New Japan guys again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. So, not exactly wrestling wise the best, but for me, they had some good parts here. So I'm not totally down on it. Well, guys, I guess it's time for us to move on. We got ROH out and.
I forgot to ask this during NXT. What did you guys think of the? I mean, at least they tried. This is one thing I'll give the Full Sail crowd is that they, we noticed in Brooklyn they still chanted "Ooh-ha" for him, and Full Sail they tried the "Oh Apollo" chants. A little weird. I mean, long-winded. I thought.
I couldn't really tell what the chant was. I mean, I managed to hear Apollo a few times. I think that was it.
Yeah, I think there was kind of like, oh, Apollo, to try to get something like that going, but I just I don't know why they couldn't just chant Apollo.
Or Cruz. His last name is so easy to chant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
They'll get it eventually. It's not like he's really done a whole lot to get them to, get going, so.
Yeah, it is interesting. Well, guys, I guess that makes it time for some TNA talk. How about it? So we will be right back with some Impact discussion.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
Oh. Quickly moving along on that. Music. Just, as my computer decides to freak out again.
Uh-oh. Yeah, here we go with your favorite music, and if at the end of this month TNA is no longer around, I'm going to have to get you a soundtrack of that to keep it around,
No.
And that's how Gary died.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I can totally see that being a health hazard for me.
Oh, man. So, as has been the case for the past couple weeks, it seems, Jeff Jarrett decides he wants to come out and, ramble on. The worst part of this is that Karen Jarrett also has to come out and ramble on as well.
Of course she does.
Something that, I don't think anybody asked for. It's like, and then it totally just, not only that, but it's just like, it's just emasculating, honestly. Like, you just rip the mic as I've been noticing, Jeff. Really, Karen, you've been noticing? I'm so glad that you've been paying attention to what your husband does since you're right there with him every time. I'm just, whatever. I mean, the whole point of this was they were trying to make sure everybody knew that Jarrett still owns legit part of TNA and that, there's nothing Dixie's going to be able to do to get him out of here and that, GFW's making an impact on TNA, pun intended, and, whatever. Just, it's an opening segment that it's continuing again, the whole story throughout this show, which is GFW TNA. You get which I guess because the storyline is the same, there's really no point of just rushing through because it's all the same deal here. So it basically starts off with, Mordetsky. Chris Mordetsky is the one that Karen Jarrett called to take out Bully Ray. Well, you know what? Bully Ray is on WWE, so no one cares at this point. He is basically, he wants to know who in the TNA locker room is going to face him. It's Lashley. This goes on for a little while, and yeah, I mean, it wound up being, it felt long, but it wound up being good at towards the end. It just felt like it took forever to get there. What do you think?
I have a small problem with this so far, is that all the heat is on Jeff and Karen. There's nobody on the GFW roster so far that's really got anything. And you get a little piece of that so far with Chris Mordetsky, which, good on him for trying. I don't know if it worked here. Granted, they're setting up another angle through this Mordetsky-Lashley match, which is okay with me, I guess. But the match was fine. It's not anything special, but it is solid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Paul totally on that. It's funny, and I guess, to an extent, you want the head figures of the whole situation being the people that get the heat, but you also want to get something out of those GFW guys, right? Don't you want people to care when they're having the matches? Because you're not going to see Karen and Jarrett out there facing the, Rockstar Spud or whoever. It's going to be one of those GFW guys, and you want them to have the heat. You don't want them to become being cold, and no one really care what's happening. So I totally see where Paul's coming from on that. But hopefully they can work on that and get that a little bit more, solid.
Yeah. So moving that along, we get a TNA tag title match with basically Karen Jarrett shows up with it's Karen, right? Shows up with a Feast or Fire briefcase that their friend Magnus gave them, who's been secretly working in GFW, by the way. That nobody knows that unless you're like on the internet. But most TNA fans are on the internet anyway, so it doesn't matter. But either way, what the point of this is that basically Jarrett tells Earl Hebner, "Hey, we want to cash this in right now with Trevor Lee and Brian Myers." And Earl Hebner's like, "Nope, not doing it. Sending it for TNA." He pushes Jeff Jarrett, all this stuff. Jarrett takes him down. And then another referee comes, Stifler comes to be the referee. And basically, the Wolves put up a good fight, but we got new TNA Tag Team Champions. A GFW team of Trevor Lee and Brian Myers. What'd you guys think? This was really more of an angle than a match, but
I think this was some good storytelling by TNA. They realized they had a Feast Pride briefcase. They managed to work it smartly, I feel. I don't know, 'cause there's no heat on Trevor Lee or Brian Myers for bringing it out, because now it's still on Jeff and Karen, who were the ones who ushered the briefcase out before, hey, Trevor Lee and Brian Myers cashing this in. It's not these two guys doing it.
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. For them to give the titles over, it makes sense for storyline, but, you're wondering, what are they going to do with them? Are they going to treat them right? I'm just kind of seeing or thinking to myself, how much of an impact does this make? Does this matter a whole lot? With them hold the titles, yeah, it matters, but I just wonder how much heat they can gain out of this.
Yeah. Agreed. You have to wonder. I don't know. They're still, like Paul mentioned, it's still everything about Jarrett and Karen and Dixie and not a lot of the wrestlers, except for Bobby Roode, which, even though he says he doesn't care about the chaos going on, he's Mr. TNA and everything. So, did we lose Gary again? God. The end of this show is just going so well. So we have a King of the Mountain title match with PJ Black and Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode winds up winning. It's basically one of these, this is an invasion, so they want to try to keep everything 50-50, so it doesn't seem like one team is really getting too far the upper hand. Are you a fan of this? Bobby Roode will be winning another title back for TNA?
I share a lot of the same problems that Larry has over with this in his write-up on 411. I don't like I really wish this was sort of the main event. That way you have a further placement on from TNA just taking the blow, and you could have built up to this a little bit more throughout the show. He also makes a great point. There is some shite camera work during this match. I don't know what the heck these guys were doing, but there was some very obvious goofs. But despite all that, these guys put on a heck of a match. That's totally worth your time watching.
I'd agree on the match part. What the hell? I mean, it's not like, TNA isn't known for crappy camera work anyway. But this is just weird. Like, why?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have to remember, they lost a lot of their crew. That production crew isn't, the same. They've had a lot of turnover there. And so the same people that are running the show were not there, not too long ago. So it doesn't excuse anything. I'm just making the point that these aren't the same people we once saw running the production. So my question to you guys, and we're talking about Bobby Roode and PJ Black here, right? Okay, because my deal cut out again. PJ Black, what's going on with this guy? Hey, let's think about this. I mean, getting to the top of the mountain, and then all of a sudden he's not providing wins. He's not doing a whole lot. But where are they going with this? I'm kind of surprised that he's not in a good spot. Or at least to me. I mean, maybe he is, but to me personally, it's like, wow, you lost a lot of momentum.
I think the next angle we're about to talk about will sum all that up very quickly.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of that, Jarrett comes out. This is like the middle of the show here. And Jarrett comes out again saying that they're going to take over and that Dixie stole TNA from him. Basically, they say that each other made crappy mistakes as far as, business practices or whatever. Dixie's like, I never called you out on those, and Jarrett did. And Jarrett talks about his stake again. And Dixie's like, well, I'm going to make an offer you can't refuse then. Basically, you took your ball and went home, I've been here. So basically Dixie's stake versus Jarrett's stake, and a winner take all. Well, we knew that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
At week 2, we knew this was coming.
They're trying to rush through this, because they know they don't have a lot of TV.
This explains the quick King of the Mountain title switch. This explains why. I mean, this is just nuts. GFW suddenly shows up, and 2 weeks later, we're already at winner take all. Wow.
Yeah, shouldn't this be a Bound for Glory main event or something?
I know it's taking place in 2 weeks. I mean, if they know they're going the way of the dinosaurs, this would be a great way to end the show. Is that GFW wins since they just eat TNA.
But GFW is probably not going to win.
Obviously, but
but we won't spoil things to where
it's not about spoiling. It's about just making sense. The company that's incumbent is not going to lose to the
invading force.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get that, and Paul, in this part, it makes sense with the PJ Black thing, and I look at this and I think to myself the same thing. Why so quick? Well, we've got to hurry and get this on TV, but I also don't think they have very much patience with this whole thing, and I think Jeff Jarrett, even if this was the situation where TNA is on TV for another 6 months. You don't have to worry about anything. I still think Jeff Jarrett would have wanted to do this on a short-term basis because I think he wants to do his own thing. I know he wants to be on TV for sure, but it would shock me if he wanted to hang around TNA for way too long.
Yeah. Why be on something that's dying?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to make yours live.
Right.
I mean, and then it also can't just go on forever either. It has to end at some point.
Yeah, but I do agree with Paul on that. I mean, it would be a smart decision to just let GFW eat him.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, at least WWE had theirs go for what, like almost 6 months?
Yeah, something like that.
It just, this you're going to do this all in like a month and a half? Weird. But this is TNA. They don't always do things like everyone else. So Kenny King is back. He's basically a face now. And he wants to bring back Open Fight Night. So we have Kenny King versus the Assaulter, Bram. Kenny King lost in a match where he returns. Doesn't make sense to me, but
Moving right along is pretty much how I could sum that up.
I don't know what's going on here.
Here's Kenny King. Nothing to see here. Moving on.
Yeah, pretty much. And isn't it sad? I kind of at points had a soft place in my heart for that guy, and just his success has been very minimum.
Yeah. Well, speaking of someone that is sort of having minimal success, I guess. Velvet Sky. I mean, I forgot to mention that EC3 cut a nice promo on the Hardys, saying that they choose their own. They have had their own choose their own adventure book as a career. Wonderful.
Oh my goodness.
Velvet Sky and Taryn have a little spat with Taryn cutting a promo. What do you guys think of this stuff here?
I don't know. Dollhouse is sort of watered down for me now. I think the other side isn't particularly intriguing because they're just outside of Gail Kim, they're just kind of throwing these girls around.
Yeah, it's like, oh, beautiful people are back again. Now what?
Yeah, like, okay. I wasn't aware they left, but all right.
Mm-hmm. This just does not seem very important to me personally. It really doesn't. They at one time had their knockouts division at a peak, and we're doing well with it. You could even compare it to WWE and say that they were giving more respect to the knockouts. They were having better matches, and you get to this point, and it's like I just don't care. I really don't. It's weird.
As Larry points out, I wonder if Angelina was around, if this would be a bigger deal. Because it would be 3-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was pregnant and all, so she had to leave. But
right.
Do you think that would have made a difference? Or
I don't know. I mean, it's not like Angelina Love ever really did a whole bunch for me either.
I mean, yeah. Outside of Davey Richards, I don't know if she did a whole lot for anybody.
Right.
But, it is what it is, I guess. So EC3 and Matt Hardy for the if Jeff loses, he becomes EC3's personal assistant. Yeah. I thought this was good, but there was a lot of overbooking and whatever too.
With all the GFW stuff going on, EC3 is almost treated as, I don't want to say a footnote, but he's not as highlighted as I think he should be. But they do give him the main event slot. He does win the match against Matt Hardy. I thought it was fine. It's overbooked mess, but it's still, EC3 comes out looking pretty good here, I still think. And he's got Jeff Hardy as his, personal assistant now. So now we got somebody to drive the limo.
There you go. Oh, don't you love it? Oh man,
That's what everybody wanted.
Oh yeah,
that's what I certainly wanted. So.
Well, you're the one getting to ride around with Jeff Hardy driving. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, well, we'll keep it clean.
Make sure
Me and EC3, we're into that healthy living.
Good. Just make sure the eyes stay open. I'm talking about the driver.
Any talk of creatures will be swiftly dealt with.
You're like, you shut up, Virgil. I'm not Virgil. I'm Jeff.
Tell it to somebody who cares, Virgil. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, this is what it is. It's pretty much what we expected. Honestly, we all knew this was going to happen last week. So there you go. You got a chance to see it here. So nothing too unexpected. And yeah, Paul has a great point. I mean, with this whole thing going with GFW, this is a footnote. No one, it's not the big main. It's a main event, but is it really the focus? Is it really what you care about? Not really.
Yeah, the way they have EC3 pop in during that bad segment that I talked about is kind of the way he is right now. It's just like that guy that pops in, he's out. He's there in the main event, he's out. But he's not the main. He's not the main deal right now. Just there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So.
I mean, which is not like a knock or anything. It's bound to happen. He's not. That's the weird thing about, like, right now you have a champion who doesn't really care. He cares about himself.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't give a crap about TNA and all this other BS. If you want to have a Raw champion or whatever, then you obviously don't have EC3 being champ coming into this, but they got dealt the hand they have right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, well, I guess pretty much now we only have one thing left, right, Sean, to rate this thing, huh?
Yeah.
So, what did you give it, Paul?
I think we're looking at another 6.5 here, guys. Nothing terrible. There's some stuff that could have been done better, but there's still nothing all that bad, I'd say.
Sean?
Raw was better match-wise, so I'll say 6 for TNA. They also had storylines that I'm much more interested in as well. TNA's GFW thing is just, kind of there at the moment for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not a lot to really invest in yet. And I don't know if there will be in the near future, but...
Well, they're obviously doing this quickly, so I don't know how much we're investing.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's, to me, that speaks volumes. It's exactly why you're not getting a higher rated show. So
their ratings did go up, though, for this show.
Yeah.
They went up, I think, into the almost 3,000, 65-ish range. Which is their second highest ever since they moved to Wednesdays. So that's good for them. ROH's went down, I think 4,000 viewers or something. And Raw's rating went up. That's good too. Forgot to mention that earlier.
Well, we'll have to see if TNA can continue to stay on the upward then when it comes to ratings, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah, they're going to have to do a hell of a lot more than that to stay on.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's got to be a 6. It's not bad, but it's also not that great. So that's why I give it a 6. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up TNA. We are so glad to get a chance to sit down and talk about it, but we have to move on to something else that we love and find very important to this show, and that is crowning a superstar of the week. And so we will be right back after this to do that.
Superstar of the Week.
All right, Paul, who do you got on yours?
Number 5, I got Trevor Lee and Brian Myers. They did win the tag titles in a smartly handled piece of business, I think, for TNA. 4, I'll go ahead, and 4 and 3 I'll give to the New Day And the Dudley Boys got their big first win back, and the New Day just continue to impress, I think, all day, every day. 2, I gave it EC3, retained his title, got Jeff Hardy to drive the limo for me and him, which I'll greatly appreciate. And number 1, I'm giving Cesaro and Kevin Owens both. Wonderful match on Raw, probably the best thing I saw on wrestling this week.
Oh, Sean?
Number 5, I'll give it to, shoot. I know my 4, I'm giving, the Dudleys. 5, I'll, give to, Sting. Number 3, Charlotte for getting that number 1 contender spot. 2 is EC3 for retaining his title again. Number 1, I know we don't cover this, and it's not our fault really. We don't have a way to access it, but Zack Sabre Jr. won Bola. That counts for something. So number 1, Mr. Zack Sabre Jr.
All right. Looking at this, my number 5 is Gable and Jordan. Enjoyed those guys this week, and continued success hopefully for those guys. Lee and Myers are my number 4. Congratulations on those tag titles. And then at number 3, I have the Dudleys and New Day. I just thought that was a lot of fun. Enjoyed that, and it's just nice to have the Dudleys back. 2 has to go to EC3 for retaining his title. Good job, making his way out there and being a fighting champion. And my number 1, it has to go along with Paul. Owens and Cesaro for me. It was a blast to watch. I remember sitting around in my chair thinking, I should watch this again. So that's definitely why I have to give those guys the number 1 spot. And of course, as a Superstar of the Week, we have co-champions here this week, and that is Owens and Cesaro. So there you go, guys. Great, week of news, even though all of it wasn't positive. And also a lot of great discussions. We are so happy that we had a chance to have some special guests on. We want to thank Brandon Biscobing for once again calling in, Renzo Garcia for being able to be a part of 2 segments with this week with Raw and NXT. And of course, we want to thank the Almighty, right? That's right, Tony Acero for calling in from the Raw Reaction. That guy is awesome. We love having him around. And so we definitely appreciate him giving us a call. But besides that, guys, we want to let you guys know next week is going to be another fun show. We'll have lots of stuff included in it. And Sean, I'm trying to think. I don't think we have any big previews, anything we got going next week?
No, that'll be the week after.
Okay.
I'll get to, seeing as New Japan's about to return to action about an hour and a half. With their first Road 2 show. I guess I'll have a little bit to talk about that. And then they'll be doing the same thing next week again. Well, they'll have a Road 2 show when we get done. Their second one on the 11th or whatever. And I think that's pretty much like we're gonna have a double shot again. When we do the next review show, because we'll have ROH and Night of Champions in the same weekend. Like we did with TakeOver and SummerSlam. So, because
awesome.
They'll both be in the Texas area.
It's true.
I know. I wish I was going down, but I don't have the plans to do it. So I know we'll hopefully have Chris Limsky go, and maybe he'll call in and talk about it a little bit. I'd love to hear some of that information from him. So it'd be great. Well, once again, we do have some other shows we also do besides this show, and so I want to give Sean the floor to kind of promote those, and I guess also promote something else we pretty much got together what wasn't long ago. So a certain network.
Yeah, if you noticed on Spreaker, it no longer has Gary and I's names as the main thing on Spreaker. It has W2M Network. If you also noticed on the YouTube, my video game podcast showed up there for the first time. That's because we decided that, not that we're merging everything, so don't worry about that. If you don't care about the other two podcasts that Gary and I do, or that I do separately without these two, that's fine. Everybody's going to keep their separate feeds, all that stuff, but there will be an available fourth feed where if you like all the podcasts, or at least 2 out of the 3, you can get them all in one on your iTunes, on your Stitcher, all that stuff. That'll be sometime during the week. I can't guarantee it's going to be tomorrow, because we have another show that we have to do, a big show that we have to do. Before I get to that, so the YouTube is now going to have the Co-op Multi podcast, the Football to Football podcast, and W2M, your Wrestling Max podcast, all there together. So if you want to, check them out and leave comments or whatever, that'd be great. You can tell us what you think and all that stuff. Always trying to grow the other shows as well as this one. All those shows, again, are all available on your favorite podcatcher, pretty much. iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, to the last word, radio, Spreaker has an app you can download, Blueberry, all that stuff. It's all there. We have an email, wrestlingthemax@gmail.com, if you want to email us your questions or whatever. This Skype number that we give out, the 972-5916-8620, you can actually call and leave a voicemail. And we can answer that voicemail if you want to. You don't have to actually call when we're live. So, if you ever feel like calling and you live in the United States, because I don't know what the exchange rates are for other international countries, maybe someday we'll be able to get one of these 1-800 numbers, Gary, and more people from other outside of. Apparently we're huge in Trinidad and Tobago for some reason. So,
wow.
I don't know why, but
maybe we're on when they're awake.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Shout out to those guys.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we have 2 big shows, actually, pretty much almost coming back to back. If you're listening to this on a Friday, which is today, tomorrow, whatever, Friday night, we are doing the college football season preview. It's going to be, Gary, myself, Randy, and 4 guys that are very, very knowledgeable about football. I don't want to name their names because I've done this before and somebody doesn't show up. So I'm just going to say it's 4 guys that know their stuff. They're also going to return on Sunday night for our NFL season preview, where we don't get to talk so much, they do. Gary and I didn't really give picks for the college football stuff, so we'll be talking a little bit more on that. But the NFL, we did division previews for all the divisions, so you can go back and listen to those if you want. And they'll just give you the rundown. We'll go through everything. We'll give our playoff picks, which we haven't done yet. It's going to be fun. We'll also be doing the Football to Football podcast fantasy football draft that Sunday night too while we're doing the show. So that'll be fun for the 3 of us as co-hosts talking about that. It's going to start. Things are going to start ramping up because after this week, starting on Thursday, with when the NFL season starts, we'll be doing double shots with Thursday night shows and Monday night shows after those respective games and everything. So, man, it's can't believe football season's pretty much already here if you're a fan of college, and it's almost here if you're an NFL fan. And of course, don't forget, go to DraftKings.com, use that code Spreaker, and help us out.
For sure. And we also have something else we want to let everybody know. We do have some new logos coming your way for the show, so be keeping your eye out for that. If you've been on the Facebook group, you may get a chance to see when Sean puts up this show live on Spreaker. You may get a sneak peek at it. So not everything's complete. We're not completely done with it, but we do have most of it done for the most part. We want to thank the developers of a certain game. That's right, Math Tumble. I didn't get a chance to mention it earlier, but I'm going to mention it now since we do have a chance. It's a fun math game that you guys want to go check out. If you're interested in checking out any of their other games, go to Luby Lou on Facebook. Check out Luby Lou. And we'll, of course, put that on a page somewhere so you guys can find that. But it's great developers of games. You can find them on all your Android devices, and it is soon coming to your Apple phone. So there you go, guys. And we'll give you more information if you need it. Just send us a message and we'll let you know. But anyway, guys, well, man, this has been a blast. We've had a lot of fun on this show, and we hate to cut it, but it is time. And, of course, we appreciate everybody to just check the show out, rate and review us if you haven't. If you have, we appreciate it. And, of course, we'll be getting you guys next week. But until then, we want you to always remember, if you're not living life to the max.
Not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.